Hello. I have a fortune cookie. Should I open it up?
Oh, go for it.
I'm waiting.
You're waiting for what?
For us to go live. Remember, she's 30 seconds behind us.
Oh, now I gotta crack it open. Look at that. Okay, then you eat the half that didn't have the fortune in it, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you don't want to eat the fortune, that would be bad. It's hard to read when you've swallowed it. And don't talk with your mouth full. Obviously, you got to finish what's in your mouth before you read it out loud.
All right. I'm already reading it, but I'll read it out loud.
Okay.
You will enjoy good health and financial independence. Oh, please.
That would be nice. Now eat
Please.
the other piece of cookie so that you can solidify that. Hey, maybe we get this guy monetized this year. You think? Well, he needs about 660 more subscribers, so make sure you share this out and tell your friends to subscribe.
I do want to tell all of you that tune in regularly, I do appreciate you. And especially those of you who come here from other streams, like especially when Deleted Scenes says do a Deleted Scenes raid. I really do appreciate that. And I hope we put on a good show. And like I said, I think we put on a good show Friday, didn't we? With the anti-good, almost called it the anti-good old days, right? So if you like our good old days segment, it's on my channel. It's also on Troy's. Check out the Friday Night Last Call.
Yeah, we went into it.
Yeah.
Boomer said, "Oh, I think we're going to disagree about some of these. Maybe we'll come to blows." I don't think we really disagree because I think both of us, even the things that we said, the other person really said he still liked. It was like, yeah, but I kind of see your point. You
know what it is with Dragon Slayer? I'm back and forth on it because I admit that it is a fascinating piece of video game history.
Oh, yeah.
It does deserve to be preserved. I just don't think it's that great of a game.
Yeah, if you remember playing that damn thing, you wanted to see somebody else play it all the way through. You wanted to see the story, but playing it would just piss you off, and it was not fun.
And it was an expensive game. It was 50 cents.
It was.
I think it was the first game that was ever 50 cents, if I'm thinking back.
I think so.
Yeah. First one I ever saw that was,
so. Yeah. So, and I don't even remember if that was one of the ones that used to. So, you can't hear me?
Very, very low. I was trying to say subtly for you to turn up your volume.
Oh, don't be subtle. Just
okay, Troy, turn up your volume.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, no, let me.
Does Troy's sound okay, chat?
Yeah, let's get a sound check from everybody. Audio, mic,
animal, vegetable, mineral. I'm sorry.
Oh, I had, for some reason, it was on automatically adjust. Okay, yeah, that would make a huge difference. That's probably a lot better, right?
Yes. So let's say hi to the chat. Welcome, Big Al. You can catch me on his stream every so often. We do a Robin of Sherwood rewatch. Have a great team, Geezers. Hope everyone has a great week. I hope I have a great week too. I hope everyone in the chat has a great week. I think we should all have a great week.
Stay away from Chicago this week.
Always seems to be having a great week. There's a YouTuber called Call Me Chris. I don't know if you've heard of her. She does these funny little videos, but she always seems to be in good spirits. But
that's nice.
But she's I have to tell you, she's a YouTuber. In another age, she would be in Hollywood movies, but we're in modern times now, and people
probably better to stay out of Hollywood.
People probably yes. Like she struck me as an actress that would have been the screwball comedies back in the old golden age, but.
I can see that.
FKHC 2005, welcome.
Hail.
Chris P, welcome. Great to see you.
Yep.
Let me see. Netter of Netters Network. Thank you for the hi, sweetie. That's always nice. Am I sweet? I don't know about that. I think I'm like I'm like the prickly pear. The prickly pear.
No, I was going to say that
outside.
Given that I know Netter calls everyone sweetie, you might not want to put too much stock in that. But I think you're a pretty good guy, yeah.
Get off that lawn and listen to the Geeky Geezers. Well, it's funny. I think that's still my image for the background on this. Troy's channel, the Stan Lee, get off my lawn, I think it is.
Keep in mind, I give Boomer a special heart when I say hi.
That is true.
Not everyone gets a special heart for me.
I appreciate that.
That absolutely is true.
But it was a fun stream Friday. We did talk about Superman 3. So those of you who liked our Superman 2 talk, we did do a little bit of a Superman 3 talk on Friday.
Yeah.
About what went wrong. And
there was
some good things in it, and I feel bad for Chris Reeve because he went in there and gave it his all.
Yeah, he did.
In fact, I don't think any of the actors were necessarily bad.
It was really up to those actors to carry on the spirit that Richard Donner started with, that verisimilitude. They took it seriously, even when the writers and directors weren't.
Funny that Richard Lester, though, I might have mentioned that before. You know what he was famous for? He directed the documentary feature A Hard Day's Night about the Beatles.
Yeah.
He is considered the man who invented the music video. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting, yes.
Yes. Welcome, Connie Cleary. Welcome, Matt Inouye. Hard Day's Night actually is a neat little picture. It's almost like you're watching a movie, like a documentary about the original boy band, and all the young women screaming because I think they're coming to America in it, and just they're going nuts for the Beatles. Back when they had the more bowl haircuts, the old fat, the original.
I never actually saw it, but I knew of it.
Yeah,
I have to wonder, as I would watch like the Monkees and stuff like that, and I knew the Monkees were all.
Yes.
How did they refer to them? Like the prefab four, and that was all staged.
Yes.
I honestly thought, with the Beatles, I thought about that, and I'm like, I wonder how much of that was staged. Like the record company, making sure that there was girls there to scream and build them up and stuff.
Here's what there was an interesting TV movie about the Monkees and how. Who was the lead singer? Was it Davy Lee Jones? Was that his name?
Davy Jones, yeah.
Davy Jones, yeah. And how he was always upset because, for starters, they felt like they were always they wanted to become serious like the Beatles were, and they felt like they were doing this comedy. And then he talks to maybe it was Ringo Starr or John Lennon. He's talking to them. He says, "Man, you guys are amazing." What you guys are amazing too. You're the funniest thing since the Marx Brothers. Yeah. And I think what he was trying to explain to them, you're a great comic rock band, and the Beatles really enjoyed them, and the Monkees had some great tunes too. I mean, they had some classic
They really
songs.
did, and they had to fight for this, but they did get the opportunity to write and perform some of their own music.
Excellent.
And especially, some of my favorite tunes were written by Michael Nesmith. And Michael Nesmith on his own was not really my kind of music. It was that kind of artsy, folksy, hippy dippy type stuff. But, that was just a great collaboration of those four, and Michael Nesmith actually was a talented musician before he even came to this. The other guys were all learning their instruments, even though, the directors were telling them, you don't need to, we're going to be doing all this in post anyway. And they're like, well, we want to be legit here. And so they all trained themselves basically. And I'm sure that Nesmith helped with that. And they probably got some coaching and stuff like that. But you watch Davey perform, and he's playing the, what do they call that? The cymbal, not the cymbals, the little bells on the ring, to keep it, but that was just because it was something for him to do while he was singing. All he knew how to do was sing. But over time, he learned to be a musician himself, and they were just really good. And I've seen their live performances. They put on a great show, and they never thought who the hell I don't know about Michael Nesmith, but all the others really, really never thought who the hell they were.
They were above
Tambourine. Thank you, David. Why couldn't I think of that damn word? Hell, there's a song by Prince called Tambourine.
There's also that Green Tambourine song, which I'm trying to remember.
Oh, yeah, it was a 60s hippy dippy song that I don't remember that well.
One of those folk songs was Peter, Paul, and Mary or something like that. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Here I am. Here is Troy. I'm Age Boomer, the host of Geeky Geezers. It's my co-host, PaPa Pacelli. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. Yay!
Yay! I think yay. I look forward to this stream. I really do. You know why? Because I don't have to do anything for it. That's not true.
You do the thumbnail, man. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's true. I do.
If you ever need a break, let me know. All right.
But you know what?
You put the notes together.
It's not on my channel. It's on yours. So if I say something untoward and you get your channel taken down, it's on you.
Well, that's true. Plus, I do stuff for your channel too. We do the presentations sometimes. So I figure this is what we do in our community.
We make a good dynamic.
We help each
duo.
other. We help
like
each other.
Stadler and Waldorf, right?
Yes, exactly. But oh wait. First, we want to talk about the good old days, which is not the Monkees, even though that probably was the good old days, and that might be a topic for future good old days. But what's tonight's good old days?
It's a great topic based on just what we were talking about. I'll be there for you. Yeah, we're talking Friends.
Yes, this was...
No, okay, Meta wants me to do it. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. Well, it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you. 'Cause you're there for me to do.
Yes.
I actually just heard you mention Friends, so I came out here to clap because I thought I missed my cue.
Yeah, I actually started in the refrain when I should have done that.
All the great TV shows
had great themes.
Songs, yes.
Not only that, but that song, what was it, the Remembrance? They had a release version of it that had like several verses and a bridge. That wasn't played in the TV show,
right? And
it actually was I don't know where it charted, but it was in circulation on the radio. And man, think about a lot of your favorite TV shows of that era. They had songs on the radio. I mean, let's go back even further, Greatest American Hero, right? David Scarberry,
yeah.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on it. And that was on the radio all the time. And I was like, shush, shush, that's my song. I love that song, even to this day, the Hill Street Blues theme. That is a great piece of R&B. Yeah, that is. No. That is Taxi. That is Taxi.
That's Taxi.
That's a tune called Angela. Blues. That is also brilliant too.
What the heck was Hill Street Blues now?
I can actually play that one on piano.
All right. Okay.
And I don't even play the piano.
Hill Street Blues, I didn't really watch, but I knew it was made by, I think, was David Chase or someone was involved who was involved at NYPD Blue. He worked on that. Yeah. So that was almost like a pre-NYPD Blue. NYPD Blue was the cop show of it.
Yeah, they were connected. Oh, then they tried to go to Cop Rock, which honestly I enjoyed, but it didn't take off, and it was just too difficult to make. It's hard to do a musical on a weekly basis.
David E. Kelly was involved with it. I think maybe Cop Rock, though, might be responsible for every so often on a TV show you get a musical episode now. That might be because of Cop Rock. Fun fact, the theme song Friends wasn't written for Friends, but band actually released 2 years before the show aired, and it was Courtney Cox that picked it. Well, that happened all the time, too, yeah.
Yeah, what they would do is they'd say, hey, this is a great one, and then if it thematically met with what they were doing, they'd be like, yeah, let's see if we can get the license for this. Usually they can get the license for a song because, it was usually a song that wasn't real popular or whatever. They wanted to actually, another song that was like, it wasn't a theme song, but there was the song Bill Vera and the Beaters, I think was the name of the band. They did a song. Well, they actually did a song that was picked up as a commercial for Peter Pan peanut butter. But they did a release song called "At This Moment." That it was an okay song that nobody paid much attention to until it was used in Family Ties. It was actually used a couple of times. It was one of those keynote songs in a relationship storyline. And it became a number one on the Billboard charts song.
Oh, interesting. Yep. So Friends was part of the Thursday night NBC lineup, correct? This was the
NBC,
biggest.
Yes.
This was, what?
It was NBC. Yes.
Yeah. This was the biggest night on TV, I believe, mid to late 90s. This you had ER, because I remember it was in 95 when I started watching it. I think hardcore was in 95. Yep. It was Friends. It was Seinfeld was on the same night. I think Frasier was Frasier also on Thursday nights. I think it
I can't
was.
remember. Yeah,
I think it was Frasier. I don't know
Could
if there
have
was a third. I don't think Mad About You was on Thursday. I think that was a different night of the week.
it was a different night, but it was the same channel. And
Yes,
they even did. They did a couple crossovers. They did a crossover with ER.
They did.
Yes, they did. The two main doctors.
Noah Wiley, played by George Clooney. Yeah, Doctor.
Yeah, and the other one.
Yeah,
they did an appearance. They stopped in for a drink at the Central Perk. And there was actually a couple crossovers, and you'll understand why in a second, with Mad About You, because what's her name? The goofy blonde, what's her name?
Phoebe.
Well, Phoebe, right, and her sister
Rachel?
was Ursula.
Ursula, yes.
Yeah.
Ursula would show up in Mad About You.
Same actress, right? Same actress, but she was supposed to be twins, and she was on both shows. And then they would sometimes cross over, and the people from the one show would think it was the person they knew, and it wasn't, and would say things, and the other, they wouldn't know what they were talking about. And it wasn't until they finally figured out, oh, you have a twin sister. Yeah, but I don't talk to her. I don't have anything to do with her. Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if there was a Friends episode where maybe it was Ursula shows up when Phoebe's not around, and it's like this, and she's pretending to be Phoebe. I don't know if that happened. I'm racking my brain.
Yes, there was a in fact, it was the very classic twin shift, right? Okay. Where Joey was dating Ursula for a while, and Ursula was treating him like crap and was going to break up with him. And Phoebe's like, he's my friend. You can't do that to him. She goes, oh, no, he's not my friend. And so Phoebe breaks up with him for her in a very, very nice way. And it ends in this beautiful kiss. And Phoebe is like, oh my gosh, as he's leaving. And as Joey's walking out of the apartment, he turns and looks and goes, Phoebes? And she goes, yeah. And she's like, ooh. It was so sweet. I mean, it could have gone into really creepy territory, but it came from such a sweet, loving place that you're like, aw,
Oh, Ursula did a certain something using Phoebe's name.
That's right. That was another part of the story. She did adult entertainment under the name Phoebe. Yeah, exactly. That would probably piss me off too,
Here are the different characters. Okay, you had Ross and Monica. They were brother sister.
Yes.
Ross was a professor, I believe, at New York University. He taught paleontology.
I want to say paleontologist, yeah,
like fossils, things like that, or anthropology.
I'm not sure which. Yeah. He studied old bones.
He studied bones, and he had been divorced. From his ex-wife, who was played by the actress who played Hetty on Herman's Head, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who was a lesbian, and she was a lesbian. Like, she ended up getting with another woman, so it was awkward for him.
Which, of course, starts the whole, debate around the water cooler about, she was a lesbian, you got to give her. No, I don't give her shit. You should have figured that crap out before you got married in the first place. I don't care if you're leaving me for a man or a woman.
So Ross had a kid, though. I think he had a son, right? Yes.
Together, which forced him to continue to be in that relationship with her, dude. Everybody, who's been divorced, has kids with their ex, that kind of situation.
Monica was a chef, a professional chef.
Yep.
Worked at good restaurants.
Think of that movie Ratatouille. She was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Not the rat, like the guy.
Chandler Bing was an office worker, and I don't know what he did. I just know he worked in an office. Maybe that was the point. We were supposed to know what he did. He just worked in an office, right?
Well, yeah, and it didn't really matter. I'm sure, just for the sake of not wanting to, they wanted people to be able to relate. People that worked in office work like he did, with stupid work politics and dumb reports that didn't make any sense. The weenus. All you care about is the weenus. Could relate to that. So, I mean, most of the time, think about your office jobs. You're pushing papers, you're entering orders, you're doing unnecessary reports. Do you even know what your company does? Even if you do, does it really matter? could you not just switch to another company and keep doing the same job and not even notice the difference? You know, that's kind of what he did.
It's funny, deleted scenes. I don't think he knew. That's funny.
Yeah, Big Al said statistical analysis and data reconfiguration. In other words, a bunch of bullshit number punching. Exactly.
So Joey was a struggling New York actor. He would show up, I think, on soaps. And he would show up on soaps. He might show up in theater productions, maybe indie films. He would try to do that.
In quotes, indie films, because once he did try to do an adult film.
Oh, that's funny. Yes, it was a Thursday. They had different time. Then they moved the time to when Seinfeld was on after Seinfeld ended. I know that they were on like the same night. I remember it was a powerhouse. It was a powerhouse night though, and NBC owned Thursday. That was the whole thing. I don't know what other channels had on Thursday. Fox owned Friday for a while because they had X-Files. And then they had Millennium. They used to have X-Files and Millennium on the same night. Those were salad. Those are wonderful days. Yeah. And then they kicked X-Files off and stuck it on Sunday, which I never liked because I thought that was weird. That was a Friday night show. Anyway, what am I talking about? We're talking about Friends on the X-Files. Anyway, so you also had Phoebe. I don't know what Phoebe did for a living. Did she do musician stuff, or did she just do whatever came her way?
She was a masseuse.
A masseuse. Okay, there you go. And
because there was one guy. Yeah, see, Al's.
What did Rachael do then? What did Rachael do though?
She's the one that you kind of follow from the beginning of the show. She had been like wealthy, and she was kind of disowned or something, and she had to figure out how to get a job, and she was completely clueless about working and stuff like that. And so she moved in with Monica, who was an old friend of hers. Because she needed a place to stay, and Monica would give her advice on going on interviews and stuff like that.
And Ross had a huge crush on Rachael, played by Jennifer Aniston here.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of pairing up on this show. Eventually, Chandler and Monica get together. They get married.
Yes, they do. After they had an on-location storyline. Didn't it revolve around? I think it revolved around. What's her name? What's his name? On the right, the archaeologist, Monica's brother.
Monica's brother was Ross.
Ross, right. Yeah. Ross was getting married, and they went, I don't know, overseas somewhere I
remember that episode. That was the finale.
And while they were there, Monica and what's his name? Chandler, like, hooked up.
Yes.
You know, and they were trying to keep it a secret from everyone. And Phoebe ends up finding out about it. Eventually, almost everyone ends up finding out about it. And I just remember them getting into some kind of a big argument about not letting people know and why they weren't letting people know. And he goes, well, you got to understand, this is really hard for me because I can't tell people that I love you. And then everyone just goes silent. And everyone looks at Phoebe, who was the first one who knew. She goes, I just thought they were having sex. I didn't know you were in love.
Oh, that's funny. But you remember that was the wedding episode of Ross. He's dating another young woman. He's going to be the second wife, and he goes, I, Ross, do take the Rachael, and he doesn't say her name. He says Rachel's name.
Exactly.
And it's this big disaster. I think they do get married, but then he has to get divorced, and he's like, no, I don't want to have 3 divorces or something. Like, he's freaking out because he doesn't want to get another divorce, even though they weren't even married that long. And it's like this. Anyway, but yeah, this was must-see TV. I remember Seinfeld. Actually, yeah.
Big Al's right, London. It makes sense because the wife was British.
What was 8:30, or was 8:30 just the place where they would try out new sitcoms? Because you had Friends and you had Seinfeld, so that's the sweet spot sandwich between those. Because people are going to watch both. So you just got to sit there. Frasier was always popular, and then you had 10 p.m. was ER, the drama.
I remember. Yeah, I seem to remember Frasier was the later one.
9:30.
9:30. Yeah.
After Seinfeld, yes. So Seinfeld was my favorite.
I remember when that one was over, it was pretty much my bedtime because it was a school night.
But yeah, this was a fun show. I remember I don't know if we did an article early on with Geeky Geezers where we were talking about how the young kids were watching Friends now, and they were all horrified. They're like, "Oh, this is so politically incorrect. Oh no!" And it's like,
get over it, kids.
Will you chill out?
Yeah.
There was this wonderful episode where you get to meet, I think, Chandler's it was his father, right? And his father was played by Kathleen Turner. So I don't know if he was cross-dressing or if he had, and he was doing like a show, and like, of course, I am happy, so very happy, and the line ends with "and gay," and of course he says "gay," but it was all in good fun. It wasn't meant to be anti-gay or anything like that. But of course, I know nowadays, this is homophobic. No, it's not. It's
get over it.
Everybody was having fun. Jennifer,
if anything, it was in the spirit of that whole kind of inclusion kind of thing. It was like, get over it. This is the way the life is. Especially in a cosmopolitan, setting.
Here's what art, if you're an artist, and what art is supposed to do. You're not really supposed to be presenting the world as you wish it to be, which is what we have now with a lot of the woke stuff. You just present it as it is. For instance, I'm a big fan of those Italian thriller giallo movies. And they were making a point that in this one Franco Nero movie, his ex-wife is running her own business, and she's actually being rather successful at it. She's kind of standing on her own, and they're saying, wow, I guess they were being rather progressive for the time. And no, that's not the case. It's not that they're being progressive. They're just saying, yes, in the early 70s, women were finally just getting out on their own and being their own person and doing their own things. That was just happening. So that's why the movie has it in there. It's not that they're saying it's good or bad for society one way or the other. They're just saying this is what's going on.
Right.
Jennifer Aniston was actually a part of the cast of the original Mad TV. Oh, that's interesting. The pilot episode. And then they revamped the entire cast when they went to series. Interesting.
She was Jennifer Aniston was also and I know I've mentioned this before. She played Ferris Bueller's sister in the TV series.
That's interesting. That's a topic for another week if we do Parker Lewis Can't Lose, because because there was the Ferris Bueller TV show, and then Parker Lewis Can't Lose aired around the same time, and they were sort of similar.
They're very similar shows, yeah.
Oh, exactly. I love Parker Lewis Can't Lose. I used to have it on DVD, but it got messed up in the flood. But just dropping by to say hello, Mark Malinikoff.
Oh, hey, Mark. Welcome. Speaking of
found kryptonite kidney stones while working the mine. Oh, really?
Oh, God, yeah. He's been suffering.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
I know. I've been empathizing with him, absolutely. But you, I don't remember what I was going to say. You were saying something about Parker Lewis or something. I don't remember.
They never did anything 9/11 related in an episode, but they had Joey having an NYPD stuff on. Well, I think if you don't know what to do, don't do it, right? Because I think also part of the thing people had to do after 9/11 was have a laugh after all the horror that happened that day. So,
I think it's absolutely appropriate if you somehow acknowledge it without focusing on it. You don't make a joke, you don't do anything like that. But
you remember the famous Spider-Man cover?
Oh yeah,
witnessing the destruction. Yeah.
There was also a famous. I don't remember if it was a comic book cover or not, but the Superman and Crypto standing in front of this mural of the firefighters and the first responders and stuff, and it was just man, Yeah, you remember they tried to do that bullshit for COVID too. It was like, fuck you. This is not the same thing.
Never addressed it directly, but there were clues in the background. But Friends though, is this what they used to call must-see TV?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it Thursday nights? Yeah.
I don't remember which network it was that was using that as their slogan.
It wasn't ABC, because that was TGIF. Thank goodness it's funny. That was ABC used to own the Friday nights.
And it just this whole idea of must-see TV became a like a Xerox, a word that's technically, belongs to somebody, but everybody uses it for, general use.
Right. Love Friends. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. It's interesting.
We got an article about him.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about him later because he was in the news this week because the plot thickens in his unfortunate death that we had recently. But Matthew Perry, what's interesting about him is I remember he showed up on all sorts of shows. I knew him before he was on Friends. It's one of the reasons I tuned into Friends, because I'm like, oh, I know that guy. He was Carol's boyfriend on Growing Pains. Remember that? He was like an almost regular character, and then he got killed off in an episode. It was horrible. It's this horrible episode how it ended, and like I think he was drunk driving and he got into an accident. But he says, "I'm fine." He's in the hospital room, and then I think Mike Seaver then has to tell Carol he died, and Kirk Cameron looked really pale, so that was gonna
right, and it was like
and
she thought he was making a bad joke to begin with,
and he's not, and it's the most serious you ever saw that character, I think, on the show.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not. You could think of this as one of those very special episodes or whatever, and we used to joke about them.
Yeah,
but that was some actual real good drama. It hits a little bit harder when you're watching a sitcom and they do an episode that's serious like that, and they do it well, and you realize suddenly these kids have great acting chops.
And I remember the Matthew Perry, he would show up on. I think I watched 2 other sitcoms which went to pilot, and they had a few episodes, and I watched them, and then it would go off the air, and I kept feeling like this guy has no luck, and then finally he got picked up for Friends, and that's where he hit it big. This was his big breakout, but it just
which
shows
also may have led to a streak of bad luck too for different reasons.
Well, unfortunately, I'm telling you, Hollywood, you walk in there and suddenly the people with the wanting you to take up vices are right there, ready to take advantage.
Yep.
Look at Drew Barrymore. I think they hit her when she was a child. It's ridiculous. It's just
she's talked about it too.
Yeah.
It's like, the ones that make it to adulthood and get through all of that it's almost like a miracle.
And you get it all on CBS. I don't know what CBS was showing in the 90s, because I think Homicide: Life on the Street was an NBC. Oh, CBS had Nash Bridges, I think, which I think had Annette O'Toole on it.
That show.
It had, I think it had Don Johnson. I think Annette O'Toole was on it as well. Walker, Texas Ranger. I think they had that show.
Well, there was that.
I remember though. I think NBC had Homicide: Life on the Street. I was a big fan. It was this very gritty cop show, and it was on Friday nights, but it was critically acclaimed, but it never got the ratings. It lasted a few seasons, though. But I think the people that made it eventually went on to do The Wire and The Shield, and shows like Sons of Anarchy.
This might be a whole separate good old days, but do you remember that at the beginning of the TV season, all 3 of the main networks used to have a special, I think it was 1 hour episode.
They did
time slot where they would talk about the new shows coming out.
I think Alan Thicke did one.
Yeah,
if memory serves. No, actually, it wasn't Alan Thicke. It was the guy, the comedian who was on Full House, the main guy, Bob Saget. He did one of those.
Oh, Bob Saget. Yeah.
And it's funny. They did another one with the actor who played Mr. Belvedere. I guess playing Mr. Belvedere and the kid on from Mr. Belvedere, and they were doing a preview of the new Saturday morning cartoons,
right?
Instead,
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. They did that as well, and I don't remember which network it was. It might have been ABC. Now, now that I think about it, I don't remember where they used that song, "Still the One," and then they'd of course cycle in all the different stars from the different shows. You're still the one, and it was hokey and it was silly, but I loved it. And I also remember they would take out 2-page ad spreads in comic books, especially for those cartoons, the Saturday morning lineup ones.
Yep. Because the kid that was like the kids' hour was Saturday morning. That was when the kids would be the deciders of what was going to be the hit TV show.
Oh, Nate mentioned Early Edition. Do you remember Early Edition?
Vaguely.
Early Edition was about a guy who got the newspaper. It was the Early Edition, and its headline was something that hadn't happened yet.
Like 2 days later, right? Yeah.
Or the following day or that day or whatever. And so he had if it was like someone's going to get killed, he had to try and stop it from happening. And it was kind of like in that whole same vein as, 7 Days was like that.
Yes.
But
it was more comedic, right?
But it was less sci-fi and more, I guess, fantasy. So it was a little bit like Touched by an Angel, or actually Touched by an Angel is probably a really good analogy. Highway to Heaven was like that too. But I don't think they got ultra religious about it. It was just this quirk that he was able to foretell the future because of some weird artifact of his Early Edition. And man, it was a good show. And I remember he even tried looking into how and why this was happening, and I don't really remember what all came of that. But
I do remember Picket Fences, though. That was the small town, but there was a lot of law stuff on it. Don Cheadle got his start on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Who, and I guess later went on, now he plays Brody, War Machine, in the Marvel MCU. Yes, I remember all the network would do a preview of the upcoming show. My favorite was the Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, you remember that. Okay, yeah. My favorite episode was the one with the Chicago Fire, when they basically go back in time, sort of. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Wow. Okay, I missed that one. You know, I would have loved that one. Oh, that's right. Wasn't it set in Chicago? Oh,
yeah.
My gosh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
The Sun-Times and the Tribune. It was one of the main papers here. I remember that.
I remember when David Hasselhoff hosted the preview. That's right.
Yeah.
He must have done one.
Was that the year that and he had what's his name doing the voice of Kit?
Yeah.
And they had some banter back and forth. You know, nobody
funny.
likes a smart aleck Trans Am.
The audience does.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that was part of the joke. We all knew that, right?
There's a joke in the movie Day of the Dead where one of the guys says, "Yes, we've been doing the transmissions trying to get call. In case you haven't noticed, the power's off in the mainland and all the shopping malls are closed." And then one of the army guys says, "We don't like your effing joke, your fucking jokes, asshole." And you know what? And the guy in the commentary track doing it says, "Yes, they don't appreciate his jokes. We in the audience do, because of course Dawn of the Dead was the one that took place in the mall. So there was a little
exactly.
All right, but I did want to share a little fuzzy pic of Jennifer Aniston and her full-on.
Oh yeah.
Remember that episode? That was
I do.
Was that Ross's birthday present or something?
Kind of. Yeah. And it was, it was a riff on the whole, every guy's fantasy, right? And there's a whole build up to this thing that has its payoff here, because he's going to get some horizontal mambo time with Princess Leia, right?
Yeah.
But his head isn't in it, right? And he's looking at her weird, and she's like, "What's wrong?" It's the wrong hairdo, isn't it? Which is also a slight joke, because it is. Right, it's hairdo from the first movie,
and it doesn't match with what was in the. It was more like a pony style hair coming.
But let's be honest, most guys would not have a big issue with that, right?
Yeah.
But no, he was not picturing her face, because he had something else on his mind, and it kind of ruins the mood for him. And it's such a tragedy, because it's like, oh crap, this is the big mamu, mama. But unfortunately, he sees his mama, which is not what you want when you are trying to have a romantic time with your girlfriend.
No. That was some sitcom. I don't know if it was Friends or something else, where the guy was dating the woman, they were having a really good relationship. Then she goes on to visit her mom, and her mom looks like an older version of her. She's even wearing like the same like pantsuit, and it's like, nope, let's cut it off right there, which was funny. All right, I guess we got to transport us to modern times, where we don't have cool network shows anymore. We have dysfunction.
We have a great deal of Hollywood dysfunction. Unfortunately, that's becoming what our job here is now, is to bring you all the dysfunction in the entertainment industry.
I don't want to do it anymore.
I know.
I'm tapped out. It doesn't get any better. I thought I've been doing this for 4 years, and it doesn't get better.
This is why we do the good old days, to try and insulate ourselves at least a little bit.
4 years ago, when I was bright-eyed and optimistic. Not that much, but anyway.
This one is rough. Yeah,
this one's rough. I mean, granted, never a huge Pokemon guy, but I respected the kids that liked it. This was, I think, at the moment in my life when the new thing comes out that the kids are into, and it didn't click with you, and it didn't click with me. But I didn't pick on the kids for liking it. It's like they get to have their own stuff.
Yeah,
I know for many a young millennial, this was like the equivalent of Harry Potter. This was a huge deal, Pokemon. But Rachael Lillis dies, Pokemon voice actor for Misty, and Jessie from Team Rocket was 55.
And the Pokemon Jigglypuff.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Rachael Lillis, voice actor for. You know, it's funny. I would play as Jigglypuff in the Nintendo game Super Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Because Jigglypuff would just do this weird thing and go, ah, and then it would put the other player to sleep. It was like a sleeping thing. But yeah. So you go up to Mario or Donkey Kong and put him to sleep anyway. Rachael Lillis, voice actor for Pokemon Misty and Team Rocket's Jessie, has died. She was 55. Lillis died on August 10th after being diagnosed with breast cancer in May 2024. Her Pokemon co-star Veronica Taylor shared a post on social media following Lillis' death. We all know Rachael Lillis from the many wonderful roles she played. She filled our Saturday mornings and before and after school hours with her beautiful voice, her terrific comic timing, and her remarkable acting skills. Taylor, who voices Ash Ketchum in the anime series, shared on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
In a statement, Taylor added, hold on. Am I saying her name wrong? Raquel? Is it Raquel or Rachel? I'm sorry. I should have known this.
I mean, it looks like it's spelled Rachel to me.
Okay, Rachael. Okay, yeah, Rachael was an extraordinary talent, a bright light that shone through her voice, whether speaking or singing. She will be forever remembered for the many animated roles she played, with her iconic performances as Pokemon's Misty and Jessie being the most beloved. She played two major characters on Pokemon.
Basically, the two female main characters, right?
Yes. The antagonist, Team Rocket, who would always show up. Yes. Rachael was so thankful for all of the generous love and support that was given to her as she battled with cancer. The statement continued. It's really made a positive difference. Her family also wishes to thank you as they take this time to grieve privately. A memorial is being planned for a future date with Love, Veronica. The official Pokemon X account also shared a statement following news of Lillis. We're deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Rachael Lillis. Her performance in the Pokemon animated series will be cherished by many fans who grew up with the characters she brought to life with her special talent. Read the statement. She will be remembered for generations to come, and will always keep her close to in our hearts. Our thoughts and condolences are with her family and friends. Well, rest in peace, Rachael. Yeah. I guess on a follow-up on X, Taylor know that she was lucky enough to know that Rachael as a friend. She had unlimited kindness and compassion, even until the very end. She had a great sense of humor, wonderful to be with, incredibly intelligent, had such a memory. She worked very hard and cared deeply. And it goes on, I'm not sure how this very dark void will be filled now that her light is no longer shines in it. Like the shooting stars in the Perseids, Rachael was a magnificent wonder and truly special. She burned bright and vanished too soon. She will live in our memories for eternity. All right. So, rest in peace. I guess they're Pokemon fans probably in our chat, right? But
yeah, I mean, Netter kind of got into a little bit. She even bought some of the cards. We watched the cartoon a bit.
Oh yeah, big deal.
So I knew some of the Pokemon and what, and you know, it really is true. Misty was just that's and this is the other thing too. This you tend to forget, and this is kind of the goal of a voice actor. You don't think about what the voice actor looks like. You associate that voice with the character, and I mean, this is obviously an adult female doing the voice of children, and she did it in that very sweet, childlike voice.
Yes.
You know, and yet she could pivot and do that very, very kind of evil Jessie voice too. So that there is that talent. And then you see what she looks like. She was a beautiful girl.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. A lot of these voice actors are very good looking people. I mean,
you're kind of wondering why didn't you do more in front of the camera? But you know, it's just not what they did.
I hate to say this. Sometimes you just don't get that break, and
well, I think there's an advantage to that too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be. Well, we were talking about what. Being a young actor in the entertainment industry, maybe you're better off just being a voice actor.
Well, I'm saying here you don't get that break, but think about it. Is there any bigger role in children's entertainment? I mean, this was a big one, so maybe I shouldn't be saying.
I do appreciate the fact that the fans are starting to become fans of the voice actors, so they will go to conventions.
Yeah, they go to conventions and they get
try to
get
the autographs and get their picture taken with them and stuff, and I mean, it is kind of sweet, but without the, this is something that, and I know this probably doesn't directly relate, but what's her name? I'm drawing a blank on her name, who played Alita, Battle Angel. You know.
Oh no, Rose something, right? Oh,
Salazar, right.
Rosa Salazar.
Rosa Salazar.
Yes.
She has talked about the fact that this idea of these motion capture roles where you're physically playing the role, but it's not you that you see on screen, and it is your voice. She's like, I could play this role until, you know, I'm 60, 70 years old.
Yes.
You know, because of that. And it's like, yeah, she kind of is a voice actor, right? You could say the same thing about
Andy Serkis.
Oh yeah, well, Andy Serkis too, for sure. He's like the king of it, right?
Yeah.
And even to a certain extent, who's that real tall, thin guy? He was in the Shape of Water and Star Trek Discovery, and
that actor,
real tall, thin characters. He's played robots. He does a lot of the motion capture, and it's always his voice. And so a lot of these CG. Look, all 7 of the dwarves. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. But you're not actually physically playing. You may be physically playing the role, but by and large, you're a voice actor.
Doug Jones.
You know? Doug Jones. That's who I was trying to think of. Thanks, Chris.
You know, for all as much as I pick on Discovery, there were things I liked in Discovery. I thought Saru was a fascinating alien design, and I thought it was interesting that he came from a race that hadn't been. He sort of just got picked up, right? Because his race hadn't been entered, like they didn't have warp drives or whatever. And then you find out later on that this race was being kept down by another alien race.
They were literally an enslaved race.
Yeah.
It was
there were good ideas there.
It was a great idea, poorly implemented because they didn't give a flying F about Star Trek canon and the Prime Directive. So
well, I was disturbed because it looks like he was begging what's her name to kill him in that episode. It's like, is this almost a pro euthanasia episode? But it doesn't go that far.
It's not real. Yeah, I didn't get that they were going for that. They were going for this. These people's lives are so miserable. That's drawn from real history, you know.
But apparently, they were actually supposed to get through this thing. I think they thought it would give them a horrible death. That's why they would. But no, then it turns out no, you actually survived this process, and that it's been kept keeping down from them. But anyway. Rest in peace. Are we excited?
We're
excited? You're excited.
I think we
get
will
excited.
I think we will get a couple of laughs out of this.
Get excited.
I am
not
excited.
Get excited.
No, I am an istophobe. What do you call it?
You hate all that is good.
I guess I'm a misandrous, racist, homophobic, transphobic. Because I don't like anything Disney does. Never again.
Yes. So we have some Marvel projects. Let's talk about the Marvel projects. Dominic Thorne's Riri Williams appeared in newly released footage for Ironheart.
That should be a real winner because everybody loved the comic book so much.
So I think she was introduced in that Black Panther sequel where he fought Namor.
Which I didn't see. I don't know who did.
Which apparently Mexican Iron Man did, and he had a bit of a rant about that.
I'm sure.
That was a famous YouTube rant. Look up Mexican Iron Man, Black Panther 2.
Mikey is a great guy, very mild-mannered, but when he loses his shit about stuff, he goes off.
He got angry. He got furious, yeah.
And I'd say rightly so.
Daredevil, Born Again, also got a first moment with cast members Charlie Cox, John, Deborah, and Wolf. Eddie Henson and Vincent D'Onofrio in attendance alongside Marvel boss Kevin Feige. It's about Matt Murdock switching denominations, switching Christian denominations in the process, and that's all it's going to be. I'm kidding because it's Born Again. I'm just. It's just. I'm sorry. I'm just. Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be in it. He's going to be on an actual Daredevil show for a change because they keep throwing him on all these other Disney Plus shows.
You know, well, to be fair, you know, this was always the Marvel thing where Doctor Doom, the Kingpin, a lot of these big villains, although they started out primarily for certain groups or certain characters, they were not exclusive the way, like, say, Lex Luthor is to Superman, right? Which makes sense. Why would they be? You know, why would Joker only ever deal with Batman? You know, and that's basically what they're doing.
Well, I always got the feeling the Joker is kind of obsessed with Batman, though.
Yeah, and there's probably some obsession on Batman's part too. So you do make a great point there.
Well, the funny thing about the show Batman, I'm bringing up Batman the Brave and the Bold again. The comedic show was for the first season. He's not fighting Batman villains. He's fighting all these other DC villains, and it's usually him teaming up with some other superhero, probably the superheroes whose villain that is for the week. And I know one episode he faced off against the Monster Society of Evil because he was fighting alongside Captain Marvel, and he goes to Dr. Sylvana. You know, someone smart would have brought backup. And he says, "Oh, I wish if I was smart, I would have thought of that. Oh, wait, I did." And then the whole Monster Society of Evil from the old Captain Marvel comics show up right then and there.
Oh gosh! Oh my gosh!
Well, and they were ridiculous. It's just,
but if you think about someone like Kingpin, right? He's the kingpin of crime in New York. So all your New York characters should come to blows with him. It's going to be Daredevil. It's going to be Spider-Man.
I love him as a Spider-Man villain, though.
Yeah.
That's why I said maybe that what they could do with a Tom Holland is they could have him team up with the Matt Murdock Daredevil, and they could both be in the same movie fighting the Kingpin. Maybe that could be the way around that. But they're not going to do that because that would make sense. Anyway, let's see here. Ryan Coogler, Daredevil, new footage from Agatha All Along.
Yay! We're all looking forward to that, aren't we?
It's like from the it was like a takeoff from the WandaVision show, right? And Dr. Doom and War Machine will appear in Fortnite Season 4 as revealed in the expo. Oh, well, that means that's a video game. I guess there'll be skins. You can play as Dr. Doom in Fortnite.
I'm sure that's very exciting.
Let's move on. Let's go for live action. This is all Disney Plus crap. Okay, Season 2 of Percy Jackson's and the Olympians. I don't care. First look at Tron Ares showed Evan Peters, Jared Leto, and Greta Lee in character. The film also revealed that it has recruited Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails to score the upcoming franchise film. Fingers crossed, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Snow White footage released at D23 revealed Rachel Zegler's rendition of the classic Disney princess. The actress introduced the clip, and Gal Gadot.
At this point, I don't know. I just go back and forth whatever I feel
her
like.
version of the Evil Queen. Do you care about that?
We'll talk more about that in a bit.
Mufasa, the Lion King trailer, the Lion King prequel everybody was asking for, with new songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda are going to be in it. You get to find out about how he and Scar became arch rivals.
I'm just waiting for the live action remake of Tarzan, where they recast Tarzan as a black man. Okay, do it, Disney. I would love to see that.
Beloved Agent 626, more commonly known as Stitch.
I mean, this is the way Disney's going. They don't even realize when they're being offensive anymore.
Okay, but they're... Oh, you mean for a Disney Tarzan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the one with Skarsgård made a few years ago? That wasn't bad. That was the...
No, I didn't. Is it
the
good?
guy from True Blood? Yeah, it was a new Tarzan movie, and it had
maybe I have to check that out.
Margot Robbie, and it was as Jane, pre-Barbie. This was, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she was American. She was American in this movie too, because they made a point. And he was. It starts out with him actually being Lord Greystoke and just up to his business in England and not doing the jungle stuff, which I thought was interesting because it usually starts where most Tarzan movies end. So, but then he has to go back to Africa to take care of something. But all right, the CG. Okay, but they're making a live action version of Stitch, Lilo and Stitch. Remember Lilo and Stitch?
Oh God, no.
I actually liked Lilo and Stitch.
They better cast true Polynesians, because if they don't,
what are they going to do about they're going to have the pizza box in there?
Yeah, probably.
So okay,
almost certainly.
Fresh off Deadpool Wolverine's box is under the starring work of Hugh Jackman. The Greatest Showman will be adapted into a musical. Oh, so The Greatest Showman will be adapted into a musical for the stage.
Well, that kind of makes sense. I would have been surprised if they didn't do that.
Like it as a musical, though. I think it's about P.T. Barnum, right? Okay, a Frozen musical filmed live will debut on Disney Plus in 2025, and a Hercules musical premiere at London's West End next year as well. So they're all about the musicals, okay? Now we're on to the stuff you care about, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. I used to care about it.
The first trailer for Disney and Lucasfilm Skeleton Crew gave a glimpse of Jude Law in a character for the series. Did you watch that teaser? I did.
I did not. I never even watched the first season of that show.
Of what?
The Bad Batch.
This is Skeleton Crew. I don't think it's
Oh,
related.
Skeleton Crew. I don't see. I don't even know the difference between this bullshit anymore.
Okay, this
This
is what
Disney
Skeleton
Star Wars
Crew-
is not Star Wars.
I'm going to explain to you what the trailer signified for me. It's a young kid, like maybe a preteen or early teen, and he has to take his exams. He's living in a suburban area. It's like, think of the Goonies, but in Star Wars, or Stranger Things, but in the Star Wars universe. And then he and his friends uncover a ship, and they get blasted off to a far thing. And it's like the Goonies if the Goonies was in the Star Wars universe. There's even a suburban area where, like, you know, the guy with the bent head from the cantina, like there's one of them in the neighborhood, and I think his friend is the blue one, like one of the blue guys race from Size Noodles and the Repo Band. You know, remember the blue guy? And this is a problem I have with modern Star Wars as opposed to Star Trek, because at least on Star Trek, they would explain that the alien races are different from the humans, that they have these values, and this is how they're different than humans, and blah, blah. Whereas on Star Trek, I feel like it's just palette swaps, but they're just human like everybody else now.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me.
Basically, yeah, they're just humans that look different. You know,
I'm expecting the walrus face guy who got his arm cut off to say in a future thing, "I'm sorry, I was handling my aggression all wrong," and you know, like apologizing to, you know, just you know, instead of him just being this beastly, horrible creature. Okay, actually, they cast a Polynesian actress to play Lilo in the Twitterverse and was mad about it because your skin was too late, and she was a full-blooded Polynesian. Oh, she was too pale. Light. This is ridiculous. Okay. Even if that premise was interesting, they're going to screw it up. I don't know. I don't like mixing things. I feel like all Star Wars is now. They take other movies and they just tap Star Wars onto it. The Goonies is the Goonies. It's not Star Wars. Star Wars is already weird. Even on, I think it was one reviewer on YouTube. He made a point that even on Tatooine, the boring ho-hum farming town, it may be boring for Luke, but it's still amazing for us to look at, you know?
Right.
How the world works. And so I don't understand them putting like something that looks like an 80s suburbia in a Star Wars movie.
Well, and here's the thing, you know, again, this is again Disney not understanding their own property. Why did George do what he did when he did it? Tatooine was supposed to be like in the westerns, the outposts, you know, the frontier towns, right?
Yeah.
Out on the edge. And that's what it was supposed to be. So that's why people respond to it. They don't know why. Why would you have any interest in, you know, moisture farmers out in the desert? Well, it's interesting. It's different. It's, you know, and then when you see all these aliens interacting, it's like, yeah, there's probably fights and prejudice and all this kind of stuff.
The Sandcrawler, remember that? With the Jawas? That was fascinating to me as a kid. I'm like, what is this thing?
And you start going, okay, so there's an alien race that goes around selling and stealing and scavenging because they're just trying to survive out there in the wilderness, right? That's what the whole point of this thing is. And people respond to that. You know, there's another reason why Boba Fett was so popular. He was the man with no name. Hell, even when he walked, you don't have it on the action figure. You don't see it in any of the promo pictures, but his footfalls had the sound effects of spurs. I kid you not. Go back and watch Empire Strikes Back again.
Interesting. But I found what I used to love about the Super Star Wars game on Super Nintendo was you get to shoot Jawas, and they would do the yelp thing when you would shoot them with your blaster.
Brilliant. That is brilliant.
I was upset when Super Return of the Jedi came out. You couldn't shoot Ewoks. I was like, oh, come on.
Oh, gosh.
You got to play as Wicket, though, on a level. That was a weird level with the treetops and all that. And I forgot we were fighting. It was those were weird games. Anyway, let's move on to, let's see. Ben Mendelsohn joined the cast of Andor for season 2 to reprise his villain role of Orson Krennic. So Krennic will be back. I never understood it. You have Moff Tarkin and then you have Krennic, and I was thinking, couldn't you just have the guy who played Krennic play Grand Moff Tarkin instead of doing the weird CG Peter Cushing? But what do I know? Or just have Peter Cushing maybe blurry on a hologram thing or something.
And here's the other thing about bringing Krennic back. Hasbro's just gotten around to getting his action figure out, so I mean, it's probably about time, you know.
All right. Animation. Kehu Kwan joined the cast as Zootopia 2. Who'll voice Gary, a snake. I'm sure we'll learn that snakes aren't so bad. Zoe Saldana has joined the voice cast of the upcoming Elio as the main character's aunt. Is that a series? Because didn't they already do a movie, Elio? Frozen 3 concept art was shown. We're getting Incredibles 3. We're getting
good. Well, okay, that's something I might actually be
sequels.
interested in.
We're getting sequels. We're getting all these sequels. What the heck is going on here? We're getting all right, and let's see. Title reveals. Big Films also got announcements, including James Cameron's next Avatar film, which we called Avatar: Fire into Ash, as well as Freaky Friday sequel starring Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Chad Michael Murray. Freakier Friday.
Oh, for crying out loud!
All right. Well, these are the big reveals. What'd you think, huh? D23. I take it there were 23 reveals. That's why it was called that.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
You excited?
No, I don't give a flying F about what Disney's doing because I won't be watching any of it.
There's always Tron, right? Maybe. If they waited too long, didn't they? They're going to mess it up.
I don't know. I mean, I want to know what happens to Sam and Cora, to be honest with you.
They won't be mentioned, I'm sure. You'll get a little hint in a post-credit scene, and then that's it. You have to wait another 20 years.
If we at least get that, that's not so bad. But I'll be honest with you, what I've heard so far about it does sound interesting. So if you want more on Tron and the news about Tron and stuff, make sure you check out Nerd Cookies. She covers a lot of great lore related to Tron.
There's nothing better than freshly baked Nerd Cookies, right?
Absolutely true.
I do not like Jane Fonda. Did I announce her name for something up here? Maybe I glossed over that. I don't remember.
None of us are fond of Jane.
Oh, funny. Disney has lost its creative. All they have are reboots and sequels. They are no longer creative. They just want you to consume. I hate to say this. I think that's all they are.
Oh, I think he's saying because Jane Fonda was in the previous Freaky Friday.
She was?
I guess.
No, she might have been. Was she in the original one from the? Oh, I don't know. I didn't see the Lindsay Lohan version. I know that.
That's what I mean. The Lindsay Lohan one with.
Okay, I didn't see that one. I saw the one from the 70s with Jodie Foster. I remember that.
Right.
Oh, she was in the first Freaky Friday. Okay, the 1970s one. All right. Well, that makes more sense then. She was also in Barbarella. Apparently, there's rumors that they're remaking Barbarella, but it might have Sydney Sweeney in the lead role. She's being courted for it.
That might not be bad.
Yeah.
I especially hope that they put her in the glass bustier, the plexiglass bustier.
Oh, yikes. My sensei had a tatter post of hers in his house. He used it for a blow dart gun for bow and arrow practice. Yikes.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'll take her picture to the range with me too.
So here we got more on this. This a follow-up article for an unfortunate death that happened at Disney World.
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared her picture last time, but I figure this time we'll just show. We had
covered this story when it first broke. Now we're getting into the legal fallout of it.
Okay. Okay. So Disney's process response to a family doctor who died after theme park ignored her nut allergy. Disney has sought to dismiss a wrongful death lawsuit by the family of a New York University doctor because of a loophole in their terms and agreement conditions. Kanakporn Tagsuan, a 42-year-old medical doctor in NYU Langone in New York, and her family had dined at Raglan Road Irish Pub and Restaurant Disney Springs on October 5th, where she had a deadly allergic reaction. Jeffrey Piccolo, the doctor's husband, filed a wrongful death lawsuit in Florida, claiming Walt Disney Parks and Resorts were negligent and failed to properly train their staff about food allergies. The House of Mouse argued the case should be sent to arbitration rather than a jury because the terms and agreements of creating a Disney account includes a blinding arbitration clause. Court records show Walt Disney Parks and Resorts nonetheless improperly attempts to negate this distinction by making the preposterous argument, Piccolo's lawyer said. They're really not looking good these days in the media. In May 31st filing, Disney cited that Piccolo created a Disney Plus account in November 2019 and bought tickets to Epcot in 2023, which required him to agree to their terms and conditions. When signing up for a free trial of the streaming service, Disney argued Piccolo agreement with the terms of their subscriber agreement, which include an arbitration clause in Section 7 titled Binding Arbitration and Class Action Waiver. The section applies to all disputes, including those involved in the Walt Disney Company or its affiliate. Walt Disney Parks and Resorts is affiliate of Walt Disney Company, the company said. They also said Piccolo agreed to the Walt Disney World terms in which he purchased park tickets for him and his wife in September 2023, which includes the same arbitration case. Disney also noted by agreeing to the terms, he represented his deceased wife while doing so. Whether Piccolo actually reviewed the Disney terms is also immaterial, said the company. Piccolo's lawyers argued Disney gave up their right to seek arbitration when it filed its first answer to the lawsuit without bringing the matter up. Even if the court were to consider the substantive part of Walt Disney public untimely motion, it is based on an incredible argument that any person who signs up for a Disney Plus account, even free trials are not extended beyond the trial period, will have forever waived the right to a jury trial enjoyed by them at any future estate to which they are associated, Piccolo attorney said. Piccolo seeking in excess of $50,000 from Disney for mental pain and suffering, funeral expenses, medical expenses, and loss of income. He said his wife was highly allergic to dairy and nuts, and the couple chose to eat at the pub because they believed Disney would have proper safeguards in place. The company repeatedly asked the server about allergen-free food and claimed the waiter even went to confirm with the chef. The waiter unequivocally assured them that the food would be allergen-free. The lawsuit read, Tang Suan ordered the following menu items: shrimp frittered, scallop forest, the shepherd went vegan, and onion rings. The bottom of the menu, available online, notes, cross-contamination may occur, and thus we cannot guarantee any dish we prepare will be completely free of glutens, allergens. She began having severe difficulty breathing and collapsed to the floor. 911 was called, and the caller told the dispatcher Tang Suan had self-administered an EpiPen. Right. Piccolo said his mother, Jackie, also tried calling Tang Swan to meet up with her, but the person answered her phone and told him that she had been taken to the hospital. Told her that she had been taken to the hospital. The lawsuit notes that although Disney does not own the pub, Disney had control over the menu of food offered, the hiring and/or training of wait staff, and the policies and procedures that pertain to food allergies at Disney Springs restaurants such as Raglan Road. They argued Disney failed to properly train its employees on food allergens, and the employees failed to properly warn Tang Suam about the allergies in her food. The following said Disney and the pub owed a duty of care to its invitees guests to ensure the food was designated as allergen-free and/or that was requested to be prepared allergen-free was in fact free from allergies that would cause death or serious physical harm to guests with food allergies. So the crux of this article, though, I think, was the fact that they were saying that you signed a waiver when you signed up for Disney Plus or bought your tickets, that you can't actually sue us.
Yeah.
Right?
So let me start with a couple of the comments in the chat here. First, Nate, I agree with you 100%. Fuck Disney sideways with a hot poker.
This is why it's not for kids. Okay.
And Jim is well, Disney sure as fuck isn't anymore.
It's not for people wanting to have allergies apparently either.
It's not for people that want to live. I mean, that's just it. Now Disney is saying you watched some Disney Plus. You know, you agreed to this, so now we can fucking kill you and get away with it. You know, and Tim is saying, you know, to me, no one reads those terms of service. Look, my understanding of this particular terms of service is any reasonable person who actually even read it could not possibly believe that this would apply to something beyond the time that you are actually subscribed to Disney Plus, or B or 2 or however I started, something they physically did to you in the parks having nothing to do with your streaming service. That's freaking ridiculous. Because if that's the case, then any company can make you sign any terms of service if you download an app, if you watch their show, if you take a survey from them. Okay, now if our drug company kills you, you sign this waiver and you can't ever sue us for anything. Look, the Federal Arbitration Act of 1926 is bullshit. You should understand what it is. This whole concept of arbitration, only the corrupt institutions of power want arbitration. No person, that is individually suing a company goes in and says, you know what? I'll take arbitration instead of going to court. No, you want your freaking inalienable rights, your right to public trial, your right to due process, the right to trial by jury. This is what inalienable means. You can't sell those rights. You can't give those rights away. You can't sign those rights away by accepting a terms of service.
You're talking about a company that up until recently in Florida used to run its own little district without fear of the government.
That's true. That is not true anymore.
Yes.
And I think this is a brilliant way to bring this up. And not only is this corrupt companies, but it's a corrupt judicial system. This allows lazy judges to retire, become arbiters, and then line their pockets helping their corporate buddies. Okay? And I don't understand why both liberals and conservatives seem to think this is okay. The only ones that think this is okay are the statist oligarchs.
Because it screws over regular people.
It screws over friggin' everybody. I mean, it's gonna make the legal system completely pointless if they don't get a hold of this right now. And who knows? Maybe this case is going to be another one of those Disney cases where you poke the bear. Now we're going to get rid of this. Maybe this will completely overturn the Federal Arbitration Act of 1926, because otherwise you will never have the right to sue anyone for anything ever again. You will never have the right to get your I mean, look at this. We're talking about a husband and kids who have been deprived of their wife and mother.
Yep.
And because they decided they wanted to watch a month of Disney Plus, those
free trials aren't free. Anyway.
Yeah, it costs you your mother.
Ridiculous. I've been to this restaurant once. I had the fish and chips.
I mean, it's probably a great place if you're someone who doesn't have.
I was the only one that got something decent to eat there. The other things, my dad hated his shepherd's pie there. Why did I order the fish and chips? Because I figure it's one of these things that you could order at an Irish pub. What can't they screw up? And I'm like, how can you screw up fish and chips? That's why I ordered that.
Matanui, actually, he makes a great point that brings me back to something I'd wanted to get to and forgotten about. How bad are Disney's financials that they're willing to do this? Right? Because this is not a good look for them. This does not help them.
Maybe it's to discourage other people from trying to sue once this sort of thing happens.
It's going to discourage people from signing up for their Disney Plus, which is already hemorrhaging people, which is already a liability for them. It's going to discourage people from going to the park, and it's already at an all-time low for attendance. They are literally putting themselves out of business. This is not helping them in any way. Okay, now, you did mention something else in this article, part of their legal strategy. Well, Disney just owns the property. We're not responsible. It's the restaurant themselves.
Part of downtown Disney. This is a Disney restaurant.
I understand that, but
are there other wrangling roads around the country? That's another question I'd have.
But Boomer, I am playing their advocate, making a reasonable argument. They can make that legal argument that I am just the landlord. Your case is against the owners of this business. It still doesn't make them look good, but it might be, the financial defense. Now, here's the other thing. I don't know if I was half listening because I was also getting the next article ready, but did it say how much they're suing for? Because it's not near enough.
It has to be over 50,000.
Yeah, well, I had heard that the case was actually for 50,000, and it's like that's a freaking ridiculous amount. Disney should just fucking pay that to make the whole thing go away. Most companies would. That's a bargain for this F up.
So maybe instead go to Universal City Walk at Universal Studios, and you can go to the House of Blues instead.
I would not go anywhere near Disney or anything that's on their property ever.
But this
again.
is Universal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Universal. Absolutely. Everyone will go over to Universal and they'll double check and make sure that Universal isn't asking them to sign some ridiculous kind of terms. In fact, Universal should get ahead of this and say, our terms of service are very, very equitable. Here they are right here on our website. Read them over. Have your lawyer take a look at them. We do business in good faith. We won't kill you and try to get away with it.
At House of Blues at Universal City Walk, I had Mother Cluckin' Chicken. That was the menu item.
You did mention that, yeah.
And basically, it's fried barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
That is amazing. You take the two types of popular chicken and you combine them into one.
I'll be honest with you. The one time I went to the House of Blues here in Chicago, I didn't have anything to eat. I just went for the music and the drinks.
Oh. Even if you get their late night menu, you get a po' boy or something. It's good.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
Well, they have a lot of singing too and stuff there.
Oh yeah. We were literally. I can't remember the band that we were going to see, but
I saw Echo and the Bunnyman there.
Okay, I never heard of that one, but there you go.
It's a British band. I think they were touring with Violent Femmes. That was the other band.
I've heard of Violent Femmes.
Yeah, they did a double. Yeah, Disney Park lowest attendance is in September, but they were doing September numbers in the middle of July. What is their business time normally? I would think the summer, because you get tourists from around the country. You also get tourists from around the world going to Disney. It can be crowded in the summer.
Exactly.
And
they are suffering, and they tried pulling all kinds of, it's hot and it's this and it's that, and Universal's sitting there going, we're at an all-time high. We don't know what you're talking about. This is
nonsense that the people don't come during the summer. That's vacation time.
Yeah.
It's in the old days when the family would get in the van and drive cross country to go to an affordable vacation like Disney World. Now they probably go elsewhere because it's not affordable.
Curtis Selby, after the class action lawsuits, Disney new slogan, "We won't kill you." It's pretty bad when that would actually have to be the slogan to try and bring people back.
I imagine Deadpool saying this while he's holding a gun or something. It's just okay. Moving on. Oh boy, this is a big one.
yeah. This is probably why Disney's trying to get away with murder, because they can't get away with antitrust abuse.
We talked about this a while back.
Yes, we did.
Okay, here we go. Venue, the much-discussed streaming sports joint venture backed by Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers, Discovery, has been blocked from its goal. U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett in federal court in Manhattan barred the three companies on Friday from launching Venue, deciding that Fubo TV sports streaming service would likely prevail on claims that the new broadband entity would substantially lessen competition and restrain trade. Fubo launched in 2015 as a startup focused on streaming sports programming. The judge signed with Fubo. Respectfully disagree with the court's ruling and are appealing it. Of course they're going to appeal it.
Of course.
Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery, I don't even know if they can be a part of this because they're going to lose the NBA.
Oh, gosh.
We believe that Fubo's arguments are wrong on the facts and the law, and that Fubo has failed to prove it is legally entitled to a preliminary injunction. Venue Sports is also a pro-competitive option that aims to enhance consumer choice by reaching a segment of viewers who currently are not served by existing subscription options. Venue expected to launch in late August ahead of the start of the NFL's coming season, and priced at initially price tag of $42.99 per month, was to carry all of the sports offerings of ESPN, Fox Sports 1 and 2, and TNT for the price that is seen more as a regional sports network, but less full programming package available via YouTube TV or Hulu Plus or Live TV. The three parent companies are targeting a new generation of consumers who disdain the high cost of traditional cable packages, are more at home with signing up for streaming venues that are relatively easy to get in and out of based on the availability of their favorite entertainment programs or sporting events. This is interesting. Even if Warner's loses the NBA, they still have it, I think, till 2025 or something. So do you think like this is them trying to pull a fast one? You get your NBA games on this as well as NFL, and then 2025 comes around and then they lose the NBA, but people are tied into this monthly fee?
Yeah, I don't know, but what it comes down to is this antitrust needs to be invoked a little bit more often, because it is getting pretty ridiculous when these companies are the only ones that you can go to. I think a lot more, for example, big tech companies need to be broken up. Google, Yahoo, all this kind of stuff. And
you don't like our tech oligarchy that replaced capitalism?
Exactly right. Where they use the technology against other companies trying to break in, trying to make it so that Rumble and Truth Social and all these other ones can't exist. That's exactly why antitrust laws were created in the first place. Yeah.
So Judge Garnett found that once
personally, I think they should have done this to Disney back when they were trying to get Fox. I honestly thought they weren't going to be able to get hold of Fox.
That was, we had people in government asleep at the wheel when that was going on, or maybe they were.
What do you mean asleep at the wheel? Their eyes are wide open. They are in the pockets of these companies.
Wow, that's disturbing.
It's corruption. It's not just laziness. It's corruption.
Judge Garnett found that once Venue launches, Fubo TV would face a swift exodus of large numbers of subscribers and indicated that she felt that Fubo's bankruptcy and delisting of the company's stock will likely follow. These are quintessential harms that money cannot adequately repair. Fubo alleged that Venue's launch will cost it to lose approximately 300,000 to 400,000, or nearly 30% of its subscribers, suffer a significant decline in its ability to attract new subscribers, lose between 75 and 95 million in revenue, and be transformed into a penny stock awaiting delisting from the New York Times Stock Exchange, all before year-end 2024, the judge said in her decision. She's doing her job.
Yeah.
Disney, Fox, and Warner Discovery have been working in recent months to build the site's technology and consumer experience. The launch of Venue remains subject to regulatory approvals and the finalization of definitive agreements amongst the parties. So we'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully they do not appeal. It's
well, they will appeal. Hopefully the courts do what's right, you know. And in this case, I think this is too high profile not to. But we'll see.
Good night, Tim.
Yeah, take care, Tim. It comes down to whether or not laws like the Sherman Antitrust Act actually still have any meaning in the modern era, if they're even going to be invoked and enforced anymore.
Snow White.
Oh, here we go.
Looks like she fell flat on her face there, right? I'm just saying.
Oh, she's got an attitude. She's got a friggin' attitude, let me tell you.
It's fair to say that Disney's live adaptation. Do you have the article? Sorry.
I am. I just copied the wrong one. Hold on a second.
I was trying to find pictures of Rachel Zegler to use for this.
Weird. Actually, for her, I would be bitch.
If she had just kept her mouth shut, I would be more open to this.
Yeah.
She's the one that started the whole thing. It wasn't us.
And she keeps tightening the effing screw.
It's fair to say that Disney's live-action adaptation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has faced intense scrutiny from the get-go. In the face of the backlash, many leaped to the star's defense, as it was repeatedly pointed out that several other stars have said much worse about projects they had been in without facing the same harsh response. In D23 Expo earlier, wait a minute, hold the phone.
Mm-hmm.
She was attacking the original classic film and attacking the people that used to watch it back in the 30s. That's what threw me off.
Yep.
And I'm thinking those people forget what the United States was like during the 30s. These were harsh times.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard some guy online. He's actually thinking that our modern times are reminding him of the Victorian age. A lot of the problems that came with all the new technology, but how it was destroying a lot of people's livelihoods and things like that. It's reminding them of that, actually. But at the D23 Expo earlier this month, Disney shared a sneak peek at the iconic Whistle While You Work scene, which ended up leaking online before it was deleted. In the animated movie, Snow White comes across a house with a host of wild animals from the forest. It is empty. When she sees the small furniture, she believes that children live there. The dwarfs then return from a day of working in the mines and are confused by and suspicious of their clean home and dinner cooking on the stove. However, in the tease clip from the live-action movie, the animals do not appear in the house, and Snow White is instead enlisting the dwarves as she dishes out the chores. One viral tweet, which has been linked more than 18,000 times, reads, "In the original Snow White, she cleans for the dwarves and to show her appreciation. In the new one, she breaks into their house and forces them to clean for her. Making a feminist version of the character always means turning into a nagging, ungrateful hag."
Yep.
Well,
not wrong, not wrong. But I'd say it's less about being a feminist and more about being a socialist. This is the
redistribution of wealth, which just makes
this is you all have to do what I say because I'm on the right side of history. This is what it means to be a leader, which actually means dictator.
Snow White has always been one of my favorite Disney princesses since I was a child. My mom bought the toys, the books, the records, and Snow White because she knew I loved her. And you're gonna have part 2. And never ever did I feel excuse me. Never ever did I feel I needed to have Snow White look like me. What I loved about Snow White was her kindness and how she was so kind to the dwarfs. Those are qualities we all need. Well, yes, because we can identify with characters that don't look like us. Isn't that weird, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at the popularity of anime. Heck, one of my favorite superhero movies was Blade. Because I shared his hatred of vampires. So we had that in common. See?
Yeah.
You didn't remember that? I love Blade because there was no nuance. It's just, no, you're just nothing to me but another dead vampire. Remember when he said that to Frost?
Yeah.
He's doing the join us, we're not so different, blah, blah thing. And he's like, no, you're nothing to me but another dead vampire. He got pissed when he said that. I remember that. That was a kick-ass Marvel movie. Why don't we get those anymore? Maybe Deadpool and Wolverine was all right. I didn't see it. But Tom Connor's Midnight Edge was right. This movie is trying to take the Walt out of Disney. This movie is the nail in the coffin of Walt. I am going to say this, too. Yeah, well, this movie, people forget at the time that this was a revolutionary movie. This was a full-length animated feature, and people noted that adults that saw this were crying at the end, or crying especially when when they thought Snow White was dead. It moved them. An animated movie moved people to tears. This was the first time this had been done. Because there had been Disney shorts before this, which were great, but this was like
the first feature-length film.
Yeah. And he won a special Oscar for it, just for this achievement. And it was like a big Oscar with 7 little Oscars. Remember that? It was like to represent the 7 dwarfs.
Yeah.
And Shirley Temple presented it to him at the Oscars. I remember that was shown. And that was a big year for movies. I think, didn't Wizard of Oz come out the same year as well?
I don't remember.
I believe they both did. And this is at the height of the Depression. What was this, 39? I think this comes out.
Sounds about
right. War brewing over in Europe. People needed something to take their mind off of things, and that's what the movies did. And that's what the movies should be doing now. Instead, I feel sometimes that the entertainment industry is here to grind us down, not to raise us up. Or at least,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, they should have written a new Disney princess and then trying to rewrite Snow White. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's really even just the actress's attitude toward this. I mean. And let's see, has anyone liked these Disney remakes? I think the only one I kind of liked was the Cinderella. Remember that one? Because they weren't actually trying to do a shot-for-shot remake when they made that one. That was when that Helena Bonham Carter as the fairy godmother.
That actually was pretty good.
That was pretty good. That they did a decent job, and I thought they were going to do that. Let's kind of like how Fairy Tale Theater did their own take on the fairy tales. Disney would do the fairy tales they've done as animes, but do a new take on them. But not a bad take, still honoring like the Grimm's fairy tale, but maybe not making it a carbon copy. And then we had that Beauty and the Beast thing that came out where the things changed were things I wish they hadn't changed. I didn't even bother with Aladdin. Robin Williams was going to be hard to replace anyway, though. But I get why they cast Will Smith. He can sing, but at least at the time, yeah. But it was so dumb for them to greenlight this movie. Snow White literally built Disney. They called the House of Mouth. The Snow White built the Magic Kingdom. Well, people forget they did Pinocchio in recent years, and no one talks about that movie.
They sure don't.
Pinocchio was almost as important as Snow White when it originally came out. That was the second feature he did. In fact, for a while, and maybe still, it's considered maybe the greatest animated feature ever made was Walt Disney's Pinocchio. I mean, just from a craft perspective, it's nearly flawless if you look at it.
Yeah.
Question: did Disney ever make a movie based on a Spanish princess? They did an animated cartoon series based on a Spanish princess. or at least a Latina princess. I could tell. I forgot what it was called. But they did do like a Disney Channel series based on that, and they could always do a movie based on that, I suppose. Yeah, but anyway, or Dumbo too. Oh man, Dumbo! Don't get me started on Dumbo. Oh boy. That was something else. Anyway, let's move on to the so this was from a while ago, right? This is an older story, but
yeah. I'm just sharing this as a bit of context because it seems to apply today. So back when Snow White
and the
Huntsman came out, was this 2019, right?
Yes. We forget this is not the first time they've tried redoing Snow White. It's just not the Disney Snow White. It's just
or maybe it was even sooner than that. I don't remember. It was a while back there because there's been a sequel since then. But they cast a bunch of characters to play the dwarves, and they basically did the same thing that they did in
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, where they, use CG and forced perspective and all this kind of stuff to, make full-size actors into dwarves. And there was a little bit of a dust-up, and a bunch of actors that live with dwarfism were like, you know what? And they did some kind of a march over to Universal Studios, in protest. And they likened this idea of taking full-size actors and using CG to shrink them down. They called it dwarf face. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And Disney is doing the same damn thing now. If you want, there are dwarves that exist in this world, and they could use the acting opportunities.
Yeah.
Just cast them. You're so much about inclusion. You literally want to exclude anybody who suffers with dwarfism. I mean, they started out with, well, we're not going to do dwarves because we don't want to offend anybody, which already upset all the dwarves because they were like, hey, we could use this job. Then Peter Dinklage comes out and shoots his mouth off, not knowing what the fuck he's talking about. And then just assured that Disney was not going to do dwarves. And so instead of saying, you know what, maybe the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is not a movie we want to tackle right now in this modern political climate. No, we're fucking going ahead, and we're going to completely change everything and replace the dwarves with a bunch of fucking hippies of all different genders and ages and sizes, right? And what was
like they came out of Seattle, like modern Seattle,
exactly. And then when the fan backlash was huge, they're like, okay, we'll CG in the original dwarves. Well, great. Now you've decided to go and do the whole dwarf face thing. So you got the worst of both worlds. You're not casting actual dwarves, and you're still having the characters without casting dwarves. You're the ones that want to swap all the different races, all the genders, so that you could be as equitable as possible, but fuck anybody who has dwarfism, right? Fuck people that basically have a physical incongruity.
Okay. I was watching Call Me Shadow's channel recently, and I didn't even realize that Apple TV Plus had done a pilot, maybe a couple episodes for a TV adaptation of Time Bandits. Remember Time Bandits?
Yeah, I do.
Well, you're not going to like what they've done because, well, Taika Waititi's the one in charge of it.
Oh, shit.
And I was thinking, when I heard he was in charge of it, let me guess, he's going to play the Supreme Being, isn't he? Of course he is. But guess what? There are no dwarves on the show.
They're all people. Normal-sized people?
Yes. Lisa Kudrow, oddly enough, is one of the normal-sized people. But yeah, they, nope, no little people. They got rid of that, looks like. At least for the time travelers. I don't know if there are other little people on the show, but the time bandits themselves are no longer dwarfs. Yes.
Fuck you, entertainment industry.
Okay, well, this is the age we're living in. Yeah, so not looking forward to Snow White, but
I mean, I don't know of anybody who's actually going to end up seeing this movie.
They did a good job with Cinderella, and then they kind of just fell off. I don't know what happened there.
Well, let's just put it this way. Disney will not be getting any of my money, period.
Yes.
They don't deserve it.
Pretty sure we're not going to get a singing dwarf. Probably not.
Well, wait a minute. Before you go on, let's also keep in mind that now, just like you said in the article, she breaks into your house and forces you to straighten up because it's not to her liking. Right? Not coming and saying, I'm in trouble. I need help. Can I have a place to stay? If you let me stay here, I'll take care of the house for you. No. Let's not have any of that. This is the modern socialist age. I have a right as a woman and a leader at that to come in and take over your house and turn you into slaves.
And then the dwarves went over to the evil queen and said, "Can you take care of this problem for us, please?"
That's what someone said. They said maybe this is some sort of an inversion where this is actually the evil the queen is actually the hero here, and Snow White is the villain.
Yes.
And I'm still having a real hard time buying, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. This snot-nosed bitch is somehow fairer than you, my queen.
Jessica asks, Troy, I remember in the 90s, Disney made a lot of live-action films before. Did those make money? I think those 101 Dalmatian live-action remakes.
Yeah, they did pretty good.
Because it did... because they did a sequel, but I maybe
they did a pretty decent sequel. They did a couple sequels actually.
Yes, Glenn Close was Cruella de Vil.
As he mentioned, the original Cinderella was a pretty good one. One of those, they've actually done a bunch of these, but one of the Tarzan live action films that they did was pretty good. Oh no, not Tarzan. I'm sorry, Jungle Book.
Yeah, that one I think was that a more recent one because I think Jon Favreau directed that one though. That's why it turned out better. Of course, then he did Lion King, which I wanted nothing to do with because I'm like.
But again, let's keep in mind that one of the big problems I have with all of them is why. Why the hell are you doing live action? These were cutting edge animation, and now you're not even doing live action. You're just doing a different kind of animation.
I did give them credit, though, for casting Christopher Walken as the voice of King Louis in that movie,
was pretty good. That was pretty good.
In fact, did he do a Walkenism? I think he did.
I'm sure he did.
But sorry, I did not care for live action. Thought it was boring. Sorry, that was just me. Well, the point is, though, it wasn't trying to tarnish the original movie.
Yeah, actually, You know what? Kenneth Branagh, you're absolutely right. I totally forgot about that. That's a great point.
All right, so I'm kind of amazed by how little money Borderlands has made.
I'm not at all.
Were you interested in this movie?
No, I was not. And so we'll start from there. I wasn't particularly, but then again, this shouldn't surprise you. I'm not the gamer in the group, so okay.
I guess I'm the gamer.
I didn't know if this was something good, something not good.
Can I tell you my personal history with Borderlands?
Go ahead. Yeah.
When I bought a PlayStation Vita, that was the PlayStation Portable. It came with a free game, and I'm like, oh well, can I get one that doesn't come with a free game? Because the free game was Borderlands 2. Mm-hmm. But I decided to install it, and then later on, I decided, you know what? This is taking up too much installation space, and I'd rather just not have it on here and lose it for all eternity, and just have space for other stuff that I actually want on here. Because I never liked Borderlands. I know other people do. Whatever floats your boat, but it's never been my bag. And let's go ahead and read this article. This is from Forbes, I believe. Excuse me, this is from The Gamer, not from Forbes. I skipped the Forbes article, I think. Borderlands opened in theaters last weekend, and though it took the video game adaptation the better part of a decade to reach the big screen, it only took a few days for it to secure its spot as the biggest box office bomb of the year. Usually when we talk about flops, we're talking about movies that did make a lot of money, just not in relation to their budgets. Like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny made nearly $384 million worldwide, which would be a good box office take if they had kept the budget to a reasonable length like the old movies were.
Yeah.
I'm going on a rant. Sounds like a lot until you compare that number to its gargantuan budget, which reportedly came in between 294.7 and 387 million, and realize that it didn't come close to getting out of the red. Movies can make wheelbarrows full of money and still be huge failures because of the steep cost of making and marketing them. This was especially true for COVID productions like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which suffered multiple shutdowns due to the pandemic. Lionsgate and Gearbox must wish Borderlands was an Indiana Jones 5 style flop, which was what I expected before it was released. Unfortunately, it's something much worse. Despite its reported 110 to 120 million budget, Borderlands has so far made only about 18 million globally. The reviews were awful too, which meant that the best case scenario was for a big opening weekend to make up for the inevitably toxic word of mouth. That didn't happen, and this movie will likely end its theatrical run having made less than half its budget back, if that. This movie will show up on Netflix, guaranteed.
I mean, it's going to have to show up somewhere.
This is coming to Netflix or
they
Amazon.
They have to minimize their losses.
They're going to throw it on there, so they're going to sell it to Amazon. They're going to sell it to Amazon exclusive. There you go. Okay.
So the first thing is, this is part of the budget here is how long it took them to get this piece of shit put together. This has been on the shelf for years. And we've talked about this when it comes to the budgets on these things. We talk about whatever they say the budget is to make the movie, you got to double that to take into account the marketing. And then you've also got to take into account that none of that is paid for in cash, because these companies are not solvent enough to pay cash for this shit. They would never do that. They take out loans to pay off these budgets, and those loans immediately begin accruing interest. So when they say it's a $300 million film, add another $300 million for marketing, and then take that $600 million and start figuring, add on 25% per period for interest on the loans they took out to pay for it. That's why they say these movies need to make 3 times their reported budget in order to break even. Not to make a profit, to break even. This isn't even going to make back what they're claiming their budget was, let alone any of that other stuff I was just talking about. Now add to that the fact that if you are a fan of, and again, I don't know much about Borderlands. I just know the people in my life that have been fans that used to cosplay as these characters.
Yeah, very popular conventions, yeah.
Yeah, none of them were in their 50s and 60s playing these roles.
No.
Okay, just saying. Okay? Then you compare this to the fact that, what was it, Amazon?
Yeah.
Was it Amazon that put out Fallout?
Yeah.
Fallout had an awesome season that did so well that everybody loved. People look at this and go, this seems like a cheap ripoff of that.
Because they feel that they took care to include the lore from the games in it, and this is just kind of a knockoff thing.
Whatever.
I don't mean to interrupt either, but I did like Samuel Proctor's little comment. He says, I don't mean to interrupt, he was looking at his parents' Disney Plus, and he sees that there's something's been added to it. Guess what it is?
What?
Smallville is on Disney Plus.
Smallville is. How does that happen?
Because nothing makes sense anymore. Why should it be on Max? It's only a DC Warner property, but
this is a Warner Brothers show. That makes. See, I've been saying all along, all of this stuff makes no fucking sense. So what that tells me then is that Disney Plus is paying a licensing fee to Warner Brothers for this. And you can't watch it on any Warner streaming service, probably. That makes no fucking sense. At least Warner's making their money on it, whether or not Disney makes anything from it. I got the DVDs. I don't give a shit where it's streaming.
Eric goes on to say, I like the Borderlands games and was excited for the movie for reasons I outlined here, but I thought somebody would be. The games are popular, 3 successful mainline entries and multiple
I didn't want to see it, but I thought somebody.
That's would. The thing. That's the thing. I already think I don't want to see it, but somebody else will. And then it turns out, no, nobody actually wants to see this piece of crap.
No. You were in the majority. Nobody wants to see this piece of shit film.
But as Vince Vaughn recently said on Hot Ones, studios have convinced themselves that it's better to make a bomb playing it safe than to risk and flop. In terms of money, an original 100 million movie is the same as an IP 100 million
No,
movie.
see, I'm going to push back against that too. That's bullshit.
That's what he's saying.
I understand that.
No, he's not saying they're right. Yes, he's just saying that's
no,
what
I want to argue
yes.
that that's not even what they're doing. Yes. They're not even playing it safe. They are continuing with their messaging. This is another, or at least it's perceived as another girl boss film, but not a girl boss film. It's a granny boss film, is what this movie is.
Right.
And nobody has wanted the last 25 girl boss films that they've tried to do. If they were playing it safe, they'd go, gee, maybe we should not do that thing that's causing everyone to lose money. Let's do the opposite of that, huh? That would be playing it safe.
Oh, Smallville was licensed to Hulu probably years ago, and Warner's never got it back.
Oh,
it's
God.
Sort of like how Amazon has that new Batman cartoon. This Warner Brothers can't keep a handle.
And this was just like how Marvel farmed out everything to everybody until they were bought up by Disney, and Disney's been trying to get all the Marvel stuff back.
Yes. Sony still has rights to Spider-Man stuff, so they can still do their own stuff with Spider-Man. But the creator of the Borderlands games was chiming in recently.
Oh, fuck him. But yeah, let's bring that one up. Fuck this moronic
I've never liked Randy Pitchford because, in my opinion, I never got into Borderlands, and then I found out that him and his team at Gearbox screwed over Sega because they were supposed to work on an Aliens Colonial Marines first-person shooter game, which everybody was excited about.
Right.
Of course, everybody likes first-person shooters, but yeah, this is okay. Yeah, this is just the I used from the link for the other link I had there. I just used this was his tweet, but I'll read it while I read
Oh yeah, I'll drop a link to the
You don't have to. It's there. You can do it if you want it. Well, do it just to be safe, but I won't post it. The Borderlands film is out, and in case you somehow missed the news, it really sucks. Despite the concerns of Joshua Wolins, it also looks well on its way to becoming a bona fide bomb at the box office. Earning just $8.8 million over its weekend in the U.S. In the United States, which is not great for a film that costs around $150 million to make. It's hard to take anything good from that outcome, but Gearbox founder Randy Pitchford found an upside. So what you're saying is you like what my friends and I do with our Borderlands video games even more than you like what some of the biggest and best cast and crew of filmmakers on the planet have done. Pitchford tweeted over the weekend.
That's pretty tone deaf.
I'm super flattered. We're working extra hard for you on what's next. I assume that 4 is not misspelling, but rather a wordplay teasing and all but confirm Borderlands 4. Well, maybe we'll see. We'll see how that game does.
That is fucking tone deaf. That tells you that all of the fans for your fucking game were uninterested in supporting a movie version of it, which means they're probably not going to be interested in the next iteration of the damn game.
It was hard
considering the way that the gaming industry is fucking blowing itself up.
It's not funny. It's actually kind of depressing.
But tell me I'm wrong, you know?
That's okay. I can just play Doom. I always got Doom. I assume
and Quake.
And Quake, yeah, the Star Wars game they re-released, Dark Forces, they re-released that too. I assume that 4 is not a misspelling, but rather okay. He repeated the sentiment in a reply tweet a little later. I'm actually pretty fucking flattered that people are essentially saying that my team and I are doing a better job building characters and telling stories, making entertainment than this unfucking believable cast and crew of some of the biggest and best filmmakers on the planet. I'm super happy to live in that world, and once more with feeling.
That also tells me that he, for all the accolades he's putting on these people, is not even acknowledging how little it actually looks like the lore of the game he created, which means he doesn't give a flying crap about it.
Listen,
any more than the people that didn't go to see this movie.
I sincerely do not think the movie quote unquote stinks. I enjoyed it and I'm super glad that it exists. I don't know if I agree with nothing close to the games, depending on what you mean by that. If you're saying that my friends and I have done a better job with the games than this unbelievable cast and crew of filmmakers did with the game, I'm very flattered, happy to live in that world. I'm close to it. It seems about half the people who actually see the movie seem to like it, and half the people who don't see it like it. That's cool. All opinions are valid. The Beatles had more #1 hits than any other band in history, and their hit rate was less than 25%. That's how it is with entertainment. Gotta keep swimming.
What the fuck does the Beatles have to do with any of this shit? I don't even get that analogy.
That's definitely one way to look at it. And while it's not a perspective I would have considered, I have to admit there's some validity to it if you're willing to squint and tilt your head a bit. Film and games are I'd like to wrote this column, I guess. Film and games are very different forms of media, and what works for one isn't necessarily going to translate well to the other. The plethora of bad game-based movies is ample evidence of that. A paper-thin excuse to mindlessly blow shit up can work very well for a video game. See Borderlands, but it's probably not going to hold up for a couple hours on the big screen. See Borderlands. Now, does Pitchford's statement hold water as defense of the Eli Roth Borderland movie? Absolutely not. Director Eli Roth said he was inspired to make the film by watching his dog take a dump. Nope, not making that
funny.
up. And I think the results aptly reflect the truth of that tale. I'll want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what Eli Roth has to say about this movie.
Didn't he walk away from this or try to get his name taken off?
He walked away. He's like, I'm done. I'm going to make Thanksgiving. Watching a dog drop a healthy 3 collar on a neighbor's lawn, for instance, Pitchford rejected suggestions that an R rating, which is more typical of Roth's work, would, rather than the PG-13 film, would have made a difference. That would have made it more like the Fallout show, right?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm just sincerely trying to imagine 2 identical movies in every way, but one shows some brain matter or shows a dick and has a bunch of fucks in it, and the other does not. And the difference between a good movie and a bad movie, and I just can't get there. I mean, I love some gore in the games. I actually work on that, but I cannot figure out what minds needs in order to parse a story as good, as if it's not possible to be good unless there's a dick or an organ coming out of a body from violence or a bunch of fucks uttered. It's kind of an absurd argument to me, but people like you seem convinced that I am trying to understand with some unspecific intangible. I guess you can't help. What do you think of this guy?
I think Randy is he's a fucking jackass pervert.
Right. He goes.
So let's
go to the next one. You can read the rest of this article on your own. It was very difficult to finding an article talking about his ranting, but it's linked here in the chat. You can see it, and good job for the gamer to doing that. But yeah, throwback to 2019. This is an old article before I was doing this.
Just to give a little context about this piece of shit person.
This was rather. I kind of did a one take. This is so funny reading this because it's like, oh, I remember this. A pair of lawsuits filed in Collin County and Dallas County District Courts late last year came to light on Friday, each revolving around a apparent nasty dispute between the former general counsel of Gearbox Studios, maker of the Borderlands and Alien Colonial Marines game series, and its CEO, Randy Pitchford. A November filing by Gearbox, uncovered by Kotaku's Jason Schreier, alleged that the company's former general counsel, Wade Callender, exploit Gearbox's generosity trust for its own personal gain. Callender's own countersuit filled the same court, and 1 month later went quite a bit further. Callender's suit alleged that Pitchford breached its fiduciary duties by exploiting Gearbox employees and property to fund Pitchford's private cravings, and one portion of the suite makes 2 sensational accusations about Pitchford's behavior, that he accidentally left the selection of underage, quote-unquote, underage pornography on a USB stick at a restaurant, and that he used his company's money to host parties where adult men have reportedly exposed themselves to minors to the amusement of Pitchford. The allegations about a USB stick places its discovery at 2014 Medieval Times dinner and tournament locations in Dallas, down the road from Gearbox Piano, Texas headquarters. Counter alleges in December suit that someone from the restaurant perused the USB stick's contents upon the discovery and contacted the game studio so that its employees could recover it. Pitchford declared the thumb drive was his and requested its prompt return, Counter's suit states. At this time, Counter and the Gearbox counsel were mediating yet another case in which Pitchford's conduct was front and center. The Alien Colonial Marines class action. Oh, that's probably Sega. It was pissed over how the fact that they turned out a crappy game for them. So anyway, but this is a callback. Okay, so countersuit does not confirm whether law enforcement was notified about these allegations of sexual exposure to minors or the possible presence of child pornography on a USB stick owned by Pitchford. So I don't even know if that ever came to light in a court of law, but maybe it never had. But Randy's rebuttal was the porn was a magic trick.
What the fuck does that mean?
Representative Dallas FBI did not meet or respond to questions about the possibility of investigations to reveal in child pornography. Pitchford the porn was a magic trick. Did it disappear off the thumb drive? Is that what he was talking about?
I don't know.
Bizarrely enough, Pitchford corroborates some of the story's details.
If we just look at his more recent statements about this movie, he doesn't make any fucking sense.
Pitchford, this is not a kid's stream. Pitchford talks at length about porn that he enjoys watching, including cam girl pornography, in which a host exposes themselves to a live feed and takes requests and financial tips from consumers. I love how this article is explaining what a cam girl is back in 2019.
Well, I mean,
because it was new then. It's like now it's all about the OF all the time. That's all anybody talks about on YouTube or whatever.
Well,
I realize this is not a sex work Pitchford fetish show. This is a fucking magician. Pitchford, for those unaware, had a vested interest in the field of magicians and owns a magic focus. So he was calling the cam girl a magician or something. Okay. Anyway, so what do you think, huh?
I guess she's making, pieces of silicone disappear.
Oh, wow. This Borderlands film had 9 producers and 10 executive producers. No wonder it flopped, but I'm sure they took the money and ran.
What money?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. Let's revisit that on Monday when we see 2 versions of the movie. The producers.
They wonder why we think they're all pets. Well, that might be why he's upset at the movie tanking. Maybe he's going to make money off it and pay for a trip to a certain island somewhere. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Matthew, I hate Randy Pitchford though, mainly because of how he screwed over Sega with that Aliens Colonial Marines game.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I have enough reason to dislike the guy because he's a piece of shit.
If you're a guy that makes and you want to make video games, and then someone hands you the license to make a game set in the Aliens universe where you're playing Colonial Marines shooting aliens, that's like a dream come true,
right? And
instead, he just farted in the wind so he could use the money for his studio's own property and hype that up and screw over Sega, who had to pay money to Fox for that license, and then the game tanks because everybody saw it was a piece of crap. All right, Matthew Perry's alleged ketamine dealer. Once directed a kids movie and produced Surreal Life. Is there anything worth saving in Hollywood at this point?
No, not really.
Among the 5 people arrested in the Matthew Perry overdose death investigation were local physician, actor, Levin assistant. They were Eric Fleming, listed as TV star's acquaintance and charged with the middleman in the deadly ketamine scheme. We're going to get more on that in a minute. The Department of Justice described Fleming's activities of that of a drug dealer coordinated with Perry assistant and Jasmine Sangha, the so-called ketamine queen. According to the Department of Justice, after discussing prices with co-defendant Kenneth Iwazami, Fleming coordinated the drugs sales with Sangha and bought cash from Iwamasa to Sangha stash house in North Hollywood. Okay. October 24, 4 days before Perry's death, Fleming at one point informed the assistant that the ketamine was on its way to our girl in reference to Sangha. Fleming, 54, pled guilty on August 8th to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine and 1 count of distribution of ketamine resulting in death. He admitted distributing 50 vials of ketamine, half of them 4 days before Perry's death. Fleming faces up to 25 years in federal case. That's some serious stuff, ketamine, right?
Yeah, it is.
Fleming didn't respond to the Hollywood Reporter request for comment. While Fleming is listed in the Department of Justice filing as of Hawthorne, there was a time when he was more actively of Hollywood. He was once a director. Scarlett Johansson and Eva Mendes starred in his 1999 children's fantasy comedy, My Brother the Pig, and he produced the first season of reality show The Surreal Life in 2003, which featured Corey Feldman, Gabriel Cardereras, Vince Neil, and MC Hammer. I remember that. Mm-hmm. Fleming directed and produced Tyrone, a 1990 road trip movie starring Coolio and Kevin Connolly, who later go on to fame in Entourage. Fleming also co-ran the production company Rich Hippie with Sidney Holland, one of the 2 Summer Redstone living girlfriends who ended up with tens of millions of dollars for his death and whose legal theatrics led to Viacom-CBS merger and arguably Paramount Global's more recent woes. She's since decamped for San Diego. Okay. The alien media mogul reportedly spent an unspecified amount funding Rich Hippie, according to a Redstone legal complaint in 2016. Fleming became president of the production in 2013. With his creative vision and experience and extensive contracts, Holland, then identifying as CEO, told THR At the time, he is incredibly capable of executing our mission to develop and produce thoughtful and entertaining quality products that appeal to a broad range of audiences. I guess that didn't include ketamine distribution at the time.
Right.
Yet Rich Hippie never materialized many of the productions, most notably announced venture about a Native American community's reckoning with drug culture, which they executive produced alongside Natalie Portman, had a tiny theatrical release and a paltry gross. Wow, that's kind of interesting that was the last production he made, right?
Yeah, yeah.
About drugs affecting a community and the negative effects it had on a community, and what is he doing? Yeah. Go post the next one. We'll just get through this. But yeah, the Matthew Perry thing, there's more than met the eye. Apparently, the Department of Justice was all over this. But 2 doctors and ketamine queen are charged in the overdose death of actor Matthew Perry. So much for the Hippocratic Oath. A web of people motivated by greed, 2 doctors, a live-in personal assistants, an acquaintance, and a drug dealer known as Ketamine Queen conspired to provide Matthew Perry with the ketamine that caused his accidental overdose death last year. Federal authorities announced Thursday the 5 individuals have all been charged in connection with Perry's death. As his descent into ketamine addiction deepened last fall, they took advantage of the actor's vulnerable condition to enrich themselves, authorities said. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking greater danger to Mr. Perry, U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said at a news conference, but they did it anyways. In the end, these defendants were more interested in profiting off Mr. Perry than caring for his well-being. Perry, 54, was found face down in the heated end of a pool at his Pacific Palisades home on October 28, 2023. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office attributed his death to the acute effects of ketamine, an anesthetic with psychedelic properties. According to an 18-plus superseding incident, the events leading to Perry's death began in September when the Santa Monica doctor Salvador Plasencia learned that Perry wanted ketamine. Long known as a club drug, it's increasingly used to treat people with depression and other mental health issues, but carries serious medical risks. Plasencia reached out to another doctor, Mark Chavez of San Diego, who owned a ketamine clinic. Soon the 2 physicians were discussing how much to charge Perry for the drug. I wonder how much this Morin will pay, Plasencia said in a text message to Chavez, according to the indictment. Let's find out. Plasencia went on to provide ketamine to Perry and his assistant, Kenneth Iwasama, 59. Plasencia repeatedly injected Perry with the drug himself and also instructed Iwamasa on how to do it, and the indictment says it was like a bad movie. Plasencia wrote in a text message to Chavez, the indictment says there may be a movie about this someday, unfortunately. From September until Perry's death in late October, the doctors provided him with about 20 vials of ketamine at a price of $55,000 in cash, federal prosecutors said. In mid-October, Iwasama bought an additional source of ketamine for his troubled boss. The indictment said he reached out to acquaintance of Perry's, Eric Fleming, who then reached out to a major underground seller for the ketamine queen. A dual United States and United Kingdom citizen who lived in North Hollywood, Zazveen Sangha, had been selling ketamine and other drugs for years, according to federal prosecutors. She knew that ketamine would be fatal. In August 2019, a man overdosed on ketamine provided by Sangha. Prosecutors said afterwards, one of the man's family members sent a text to Sangha. The ketamine you sold my brother killed him, they wrote. It's listed as the cause of death. According to the prosecutor, Sangha then typed a question into Google. Can ketamine be listed as a cause of death? So, yeah, it goes on to say Matthew's Perry journey began with unscrupulous doctors who abused their position of trust because they saw him as a payday. Drug Enforcement Administration's Chief Ann Milgram said on the Thursday's news conference, and it ended with street dealers who sold him ketamine in unmarked vials.
First,
this is
good night, Madeline. Thanks for being here. So this obviously brings up so many other celebrity deaths by overdose.
Yeah,
especially when a doctor's involved. I think of Elvis Presley, right? Yep. To a certain degree, Prince as well. But then you start talking about this ketamine queen. I start thinking of Kathy Smith, Gordon Lightfoot's ex who killed John Belushi. Let's hope that our legal system takes care of these people better than what happened to Kathy Smith. She didn't really get her due, in my opinion. Right. And I hope that these pieces of crap do.
Really, really tragic end, I think, to Matthew Perry. This man needed help. Whatever you want to say about his addiction, I think he just needed help. And what people just doubled down on giving him exactly what he didn't need, and now he's no longer with us. So, throw the book at them. Just awful. Again, though, this Hollywood is not looking good this week. But maybe go to France, where they seem to be making. I think this is a French film.
I gotta tell you, I saw this title and I thought it was a description. I didn't realize it was the title.
I haven't seen this movie, but I want to see it now.
I thought that this word salad here was a synopsis of the plot. I did not realize this was the actual title. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to see this now.
Humanist Vampire seeking consenting suicidal person.
Which, of course, the first thing that I think of with this was there was a case, a handful of years ago in Germany.
Yeah.
Where, do you know the case? This guy takes out a personal ad looking for someone who is exactly this. Suicidal person consenting to a meal where we will consume you until you die, like together, like it would be auto cannibalism type of a situation.
Wait a minute, what? Like he cuts off a leg and puts it in the oven, and then both the suicide person and him eat it?
I don't know about the preparation.
That happens on Hannibal, the show Hannibal. Okay,
I'm guessing they were probably I'm guessing it was probably, but it was like a consensual
thing. That's like...
It was a consensual situation, and this person was. And apparently it's going to be painless because it was going to involve like local anesthetics and nerve blocks and stuff like that.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you not.
Where was this? Germany?
Germany.
They got a hostel. This is
not. Does it shock you? I mean, where else would it be but Germany, right? I mean,
I don't know.
And apparently it never happened. The authorities got involved or whatever. But just the fact that this was, yeah. They made a movie of it. It was a real case. Yeah.
Oh wow. But this movie, Draft House Films, has announced Humanist Vampire seeking consulting suicidal person is now available for streaming worldwide on multiple platforms and services. I'll have to see if it's on any of the ones I have. Directed by Ariane Louis and winner of several film festivals, including Venice Film Festival. Humanist Vampire starts young vampire Sasha, played by Sarah Monpetit, with a serious problem. She's too sensitive to kill humans. Sasha's parents become exhausted supporting her idyllic vampire lifestyle of not killing to feed on blood, so they cut off her blood supply. Her life is in jeopardy. Sasha meets Paul, played by Felix Antoine Bernard, a lonely and potentially suicidal teenager who agrees to give up his life to save hers. What comes after this is a night filled with adventure to fulfill Paul's final wishes as a condition to save Sasha that night, all of which will be happening before daybreak. Humanist Vampire seeking consenting suicide person is now available to buy or rent on a number of services, including Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, Fandango, and cable on demand. So I think it's like you pay for it. The film's official synopsis reads: Sasha's a young vampire with a very serious problem. She's too sensitive to kill, frustrated by their daughter's empathy for human. Sasha's parents. Okay, we already read that. What do you think? I like this plot. I like this plot line. I'm sorry.
I don't be sorry. As a quirky type of horror film, I think I'm curious about this.
And from the trailer, it looks like she says, "Look, is there anything you wanted to do but couldn't do because of the consequences? Well, we can do that now before you die."
Yeah.
So maybe like goes up to some teacher doesn't like and throws a pie in her face, or does I like all these different things, and it's like I feel kind of bad for the vampire because the vampire I don't like killing people. I don't like doing it, but I need the blood to survive. So it's interesting. It's probably one of the most original horror or just movie ideas in general I've heard in a while. So congrats. My interest is piqued. Okay. What do you think? Huh?
Yeah. No, I probably will get around to seeing this at some point.
Just think about what's in the news too. Unfortunately, especially teenage boys wanting to leave this world, and then you have a vampire teenage girl, and is like, okay, well, I'll help you. You help me, I'll help you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this fucking piece of crap.
That is from his "I'm King of the World" speech at the Oscars for Titanic. Remember that?
Yeah, he's the king of the toilet.
I wanted him to say, after he said "I'm king of the world," I wanted him to say "I'm king of the effing world," and then turns his back to the stage, and then unzips his pants and urinates on the stage. That should have happened.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of verbally doing that to like everybody. He can go fuck himself, but you kind of need to give the setup for this.
Here's the context. This is our last article of the night. It's getting late. Okay, James Cameron issues a direct and frank response to critics of Aliens and True Lies' recent 4K restorations. Cameron's sequel to Alien saw Ripley, played by Sigourney, rejoin forces with a group of Marines to investigate a distant colony, unprepared for the horrors that await them. That sounds like a great movie. I'll do it. Oh, wait, that's already. Never mind. True Lies saw Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis on the roles of seemingly ordinary couples struggling to connect, though the former in reality is a secret agent. That sounds like a great movie, too. Oh, wait, I've seen it. Okay. Speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, Cameron responded to critiques. You know what? That's for all the kids who haven't seen these movies and don't know what they're talking about. All right. Speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, Cameron responded to critiques that surrounding the 4K restorations of Aliens, True Lies, and his other features. So as you know, I've said on the stream before, there's Blu-ray, but now there's 4K Blu-ray. If you have a 4K television, it's probably the optimum format you can have to show your movies on, and people want the 4K restorations. But apparently... these did not turn out so well. People criticize the 4K restorations. In fact, Troy, if you want to go and drop the link from Midnight's Edge,
I already did. It's there.
Yeah. Because in fact, it's funny. I actually sought that out and listened to it on my own before you sent me the clip version. And what's funny it was funny listening to Chado talk about how he still has a plasma, and I'm like, I still have a plasma in storage.
I actually do too. Well, not in storage. It's what I'm watching right now.
Plasmas are good TVs. It'll be a shame when my plasma dies, but it's still alive.
Mine is dying. I am going to have to be replacing it soon.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I know people like OLED, but that's 4K. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Anyway, let me get on with what I'm talking about. Okay. Speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, Cameron responded to critiques surrounding the 4K restorations of Aliens, True Lies, and his other features without holding back. The director was quick to point out that the intense, detail-orientated criticisms were unnecessary and over the top. Before defending the decisions that were made, check out Cameron's full response below. When people start reviewing your grain structure, they need to move out of mom's basement and meet somebody, right? I'm serious. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I've got a great team that does the transfers. I do all the color and density work. I look at every shot, every frame, and then the final transfer is done by a guy who has been with me for years. All the Avatar films are done that way. Everything is done that way. Get a life, people. Seriously. So if you listen to the Midnight's Edge, it's not these people living in the basement. It's the people that, are cinema experts.
Yeah.
That work in the industry, and they notice that these are just bad 4K remasters because you just had the AI do the work for you.
And you arrogant fuck. Anybody in this community who's ever listened to Robert Meyer Burnett talking about his work on the upgrades for Star Trek: The Next Generation and the painstaking work they had to do with that, No, what you're doing, I look at every single frame. Bullshit, you look at every single frame.
You're too busy making your Blue People movie. People have been asking for a remaster of True Lies for years because it didn't really get a 2K remaster.
Yeah.
Aliens did.
I'm going to say it right now.
I have the Aliens.
Fucking liar. He says he did all this effort. No, you put it through a fucking AI. You're a lazy fuck trying to squeeze more money out of the fans, and then you turn around and you piss all over them. Fuck you.
This is what I don't understand. There are plenty of companies out there that do great remasters, and that he could have hired or just licensed the movies out to them to release. Like, I'm looking at the original.
This is no different, in my opinion, than what George Lucas did with his special editions. It's vandalism of what people loved.
It's just it's ridiculous. People
Anyone who's buying these piece of shit, so-called, upgrades, you're a moron. Don't give this guy any money for this kind of shit.
I am going to say this though. I won't go that far because some people do this. If you buy them after then yes. But a lot of people, they figure, well, James Cameron, he's a big tech guy. Of course, these are going to be great remasters. They're not thinking he's just. Yeah,
you're right. You may have already gotten rooked, and it's too late.
That's what happened with people.
But remember this going forward now. Remember this. The next
remember, you
movie
can't
is not
trust
coming out. The
Cameron.
next
You
time
can't-
he does an update or some shit.
I do have Aliens on Blu-ray, and I think I'll leave it at that. I don't need any other edition. And True Lies, I'm just never going to own. I always wanted to get a proper special edition of that movie, but I didn't buy the DVD because I was waiting for a special edition. Then I was waiting for a Blu-ray release, and that never happened. Now we finally get the 4K release, and it's a disaster. So you know what? I guess I'm just never going to own True Lies unless somebody else puts it out. And that probably won't be till Cameron dies.
I remember having that one on Laserdisc, believe it or not.
It's a good movie. It's yeah.
Tim Hayes, welcome. Yeah, we're just wrapping up, but thanks for stopping in.
It was the big Arnold movie of the summer, actually. Probably his last really good action movie before he.
Yeah, I'm with Tim Hayes on that. It's a good enough movie. Go out and get the DVD of it, But
if you can find the DVD, that's the thing. But again, I think there was a reason I didn't want to buy the DVD. Because I think people were complaining at the time that this needed a proper remastering, but maybe the DVD is the best you can get. It's funny though. You listen if you're film buffs like Fanzine, who's been a guest on Troy's Stream before.
Yeah.
Listen to that discussion on the on Midnight's Edge because it was very entertaining.
Absolutely.
And it was just like they were talking about how some modern TV strip the grain.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they strip the grain, but then they put fake grain over it. And it's like, what are you doing? Just leave.
Why bother? Yeah, why bother doing that? That's stupid.
Leave it alone. Leave my movies alone. I want to see. I like movies. I like.
And if you're gonna just run it through an AI, fuck. At this point, I can take my DVDs and run them through an AI and update them.
They said they knew fans that can do better remasterings now than
fans are doing better remasterings.
Ridiculous, but I think that about sums it up for the night. This is kind of a Hollywood's really not looking good right now.
Yeah, I had to burn off.
It's all regurgitated crap. It's all sequels that are never as good as the originals or remakes that aren't as good as the originals. And I'm not saying film, and I want to make this clear that people think movies, they think Hollywood, but Hollywood has never been the end all be all of movies. There's still plenty of independents making movies like what is it? Island in the Stars that's coming out. Remember?
Oh yeah, the Tom
stuff like the Tom Conkle who's working on that, and you have other indies being worked on, like this French movie about the vampire. I mean, I'm probably more interested in watching that than anything else I've heard of for a while. So I may just check that out and forget this nonsense. But that wraps it up for this week. Yay! This was an exhaustive stream. A lot of stories to talk about, but I'm sorry the Matthew Perry stuff came up.
Well, we had to talk about it.
And Troy was all excited to talk about the D23 stuff. He just had to. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm the one that pushed that.
So,
you've just written Disney off.
I really have. They are not getting my money. They just simply are not. But who does get my money because I'm a member of his channel is Deleted Scenes, and he has asked me back as a guest panelist tonight on The Other Side of Midnight, coming up in a little less than an hour. So make sure you come on over for that.
Yes, check.
I would tell you to go over there and tell him that it's a Geeky Geezers raid, but he's already here, so he knows who's here and who's going to be going over.
Well, raid his stream anyway.
It'll
be more fun than this. It won't be so dour, but maybe you can talk about James Cameron some more.
What a piece of crap.
This does not make me want to see any Avatar movies. I never liked Avatar. Can I be honest here? It was all right. The effects were great, but
I don't know why people are so.
It's Fern Gully in space. I don't care.
No, you're going on doing your third fucking Avatar film, and we still haven't gotten a sequel to Alita. Go fuck yourself.
DVDs days they denoised it because it made the storage fit in the DVD. Now it's completely unnecessary. Yeah, because you have Blu-ray and you can fit more stuff on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And 4K Blu-ray is probably even better. And then I don't know. But Call Me Cheto's like me. He doesn't buy 4K. He just saves it Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right. Because we're old. And
we are.
I'm sorry. Anyway, y'all have a good week. But yeah, okay. Let's get right up. Other Side of Midnight, 12:05. Tomorrow night, you're having an interesting guest, I think, right?
Yes, I am pulling in guest of the friend of the channel. You've seen
Yes.
him in all the chats and whatnot. Sir Torrin Clegane. He is he's like kindred spirit to me in terms of the Broadway musical, and we are going to be watching a double feature of The Producers, the 69
Yes.
version, and the whatever the Matthew Broderick one was, 2000 something or something like
With
that.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, you know what? I've only listened to the soundtrack for it. I haven't actually watched it. But I did, of course, watch the original Zero Mostel. And,
I'll say this. I don't know how you'll like it, but I think I mentioned this to you on your stream that my late father, I got him the remake of The Producers as like a birthday present. I'm not sure if he'd like it. And he was never a big Matthew Broderick fan. But he did watch this remake because he loved the original Mel Brooks movie.
Right.
And he really enjoyed the remake. He thought Will Ferrell was good in it.
Yes, I did see some of Will Ferrell.
He thought it was actually a really great remake. I think Mel Brooks might even star in it too. I think, right, in a part. I could be wrong. So it's he stood by it. He actually wasn't sure how he'd feel about it going in, but he did like it. So good on him. He was big on musicals, though. That was his favorite movie genre.
And I love this particular one, and so does Sir Torrin. We need to get it in before the school year starts. So yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And then on Tuesday, Sparkwood 21.
Part 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return. We're taking a little trip back to the generation before the characters that we enjoyed in the original Twin Peaks, and we're going to get a little bit of establishing maybe where some of all of this stuff started. Maybe get a few answers, but probably a lot more questions. So that'll be live from Sparkwood and 21 on Deleted Scenes channel, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. That's myself, Boomer, Netter, and of course Deleted Scenes.
Yes. And nothing going on Wednesday, but this Thursday on Netter's Network's Thursday Things.
Yep, we're welcoming back Christoph, the Vagrancy Horror.
Excellent.
Great channel.
Great stream.
Great storyteller, and I think I've got some new. We've both got some new listeners since the last time he was on. We'll get an update on his channel and what he's been doing, because I know he's been doing a new show since we last talked to him, and I think you'll enjoy what he does. So that'll be Thursday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
Yes, which brings us to Friday.
Friday's going to be a little bit bittersweet on Last Call, as we do our last installment talking about Outer Range. We'll talk about the last 2 episodes, and I do mean last 2 because we've gotten word that they are not renewing for a 3rd season. So we will be joined by Deleted Scenes for that. So all the people we were just talking about on Tuesday will be there on Friday. The only difference is we'll be talking about Outer Range instead of Twin Peaks, and I will be drinking adult beverages.
Yes, I think the reason why a lot of shows aren't getting renewed, I think the economy is going to crap.
Yeah, and it's especially hitting the entertainment industry hard this time around for a couple of reasons. One, people are just absolutely friggin' sick of the woke bull crap. So they're pulling away from it, even as they're trying to pivot and change back. But also, when the economy is doing bad, people are more concerned about food, medication,
electricity,
the home they live in, their heating. They're maybe not going to the movies so often, right?
I learned from being caught in a flood that your most important electrical appliance in the house is not the television or the computer.
That's for damn sure.
It's the refrigerator.
Yep. It really is. But I'll tell you something else. It also tells you that your refrigerator and your freezer, you need to consider everything in them as very temporary. Yep. If you are storing food for an emergency, it needs to be dried preserved.
Yes.
Not frozen, because frozen, if that freezer goes out, you've got 2 days max. And then that stuff is no good anymore.
Gone. And forget about the fridge stuff. Yeah.
But your freeze dried rations, they keep indefinitely. What you need, of course, is a fresh source of water. But that's always going to be true.
Yes.
So.
And that brings us to Saturday.
Yes, Saturday over on Big Al's, we are going to be seeing the who is it? I know Mary Steenburgen is in it. I don't remember who stars in it. Malcolm McDowell? I don't remember. The Time After Time. I consider it to be a sequel to the Time Machine.
Oh, right. I remember Time After Time.
Yeah.
You know who wrote that, right?
No, I don't.
Nicholas Meyer.
Well, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
I think he was involved, yeah.
Nicholas Meyer, the one we have to thank for the best Star Trek film ever, The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, because he said when he was doing Star Trek 4, he didn't do the stuff in modern times of the Federation, but he kind of co-wrote the screenplay that had them in the 80s.
Yeah.
Did you know that? And, he said in the commentary that he was going back to the work he did on Time After Time.
That's interesting.
I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Malcolm McDowell was in that, and David Warner as Jack the Ripper. Remember?
Oh, that's what it was. Malcolm McDowell and David Warner. Okay, There you go.
He always played great villains. And that brings us to Sunday
with all the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
you know, the
Western cinema with Outlaw Bill.
Unscripted, and of course the next installment of Geeky Geezers. Honestly, we already have some stories lined up that came in too late for us to get them in tonight.
We learned some news about a certain X-Men writer for X-Men 97, so we might be talking about that next week.
Yeah. Well, when these come up last minute like this, I appreciate the fact that we can take a week to look at it and see.
Well, there might be more detailed articles that come out during the week that will flesh it out. All right, y'all have a good week. Thank you for stopping by. And it's wait a minute, though I will bring this up. Troy, it's like time. I'm so glad Cameron didn't make Jurassic Park because there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to have a 4K copy of it.
Yeah, good point.
I'm sure Spielberg does a better job with his 4K remasters. All right, y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.